Yeah, 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 yeah.
Don't just make your fucking beats.
I'm about my game. Live by the rules, we don't play the same. That's on my grave, that's on my name. I'm saying, I'm about my paper, about my game. I'm about my game.
What is up, everybody? This is your favorite Paul Bunyan impressionist. This is Thomas Christopher of the League Winners. I am here with another episode of College Football Now. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make last night's show. A lot of errands and doing stuff out of the way. Car trouble as usual. If you know me, you know I do travel a lot. But first and foremost, if you're listening to the show, it's a live show. Make sure that you are watching on YouTube, watching on X/Twitter, watching on Facebook. And if you are watching, click that like button. It is completely free to do so, and it helps out the channel more than you could possibly imagine. Just click that like button. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure to share. This is a live show as well, so comments I will always get to you. If you comment after the show ends, give us 24 to 48 hours, and I will get to you again as well. If you're on X/Twitter or on Facebook, make sure you share the show so that more viewers can see it, and we can do it more, have some more fun, get some more guests, some bigger guests. Who knows what could happen, but make sure you guys are helping us out in that fashion. And like I said, if you're on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button. It's completely free, completely easy to do so. And we're live right now, so like I said, all comments we will get to live on the show. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what the comment is, as long as it's respectful, no vulgar stuff. I do apologize, but we will get to those. It's going to be a fun episode. Week 14, last week of the regular season. A lot of interesting stuff is going down. A lot of college football implications are happening as well, and we have a lot of reporters who are on site watching some of these games. We'll stay tuned. We'll also be introducing a new segment of the show. It's going to be called the Prospect Watch. We're going to be highlighting some high school and JUCO football players as they get ready to transition to D1 football, maybe D2, maybe D3. Who knows, as well as some coaches. We'll try to reach out to some coaches going forward as well. But this week's first edition is going to be Pearl River's edge prospect, Jalen Anderson. Jalen Anderson was originally an FIU kid. He's now a 4-star edge prospect. Is currently committed to Florida State, but there is a lot of teams still looking to get him. He's going to be a very interesting prospect. Once again, it's Jalen Anderson. You can find him on Jalen06 Anderson. Sounds how it spells. Jalen and 06 Anderson, Anderson. He's going to be the first edition of our Prospect Watch. Very excited to see that. And that was with an interview with our own Brandyn Pokrass, who you will see later on the show. Shout out to Brandyn. Love him. Now, college football rankings are, as always, the kind of cool thing about having the show now be, now on Tuesdays, is that the college football playoff ranking committee likes to give their teams away, I guess we'll say. And the list has just came out to no one's surprise. It just finished coming out. No one's surprised. Ohio State ranked number 1. Indiana Hoosiers number 2. Texas A&M is number 3. Georgia and Texas Tech round out the top 5. We have Oregon and Ole Miss at 7. Who knows what happens with Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin potentially being out. Oklahoma's at 8. Notre Dame at 9, and Alabama rounds out the top 10. You have BYU at 11 and Miami Hurricanes at 12. Fairly surprising, in my opinion. Utah Utes number 13. Actually, let me bring up a visual for some of the people who are actually watching this, watching this not in audio, because we do audio as well. But I'm going to bring this up here, and I'm going to share the screen so we can take a quick peek at what the current college football ranking looks like. So like I said, Ohio State number 1, Indiana number 2. Shout out College Football Report. This is who I'm kind of stealing this from right now. Texas A&M number 3, Georgia number 4, Texas Tech is number 5 there. Then we have the Oregon Ducks, Ole Miss. Like I said, the Lane Kiffin situation is going to be interesting to follow. Oklahoma at 8, Notre Dame at 9, Alabama Crimson Tide rounds out the top 10. At 11, we have BYU. Miami Hurricanes at 12, which is interesting because they have they're kind of a long shot to even win their own conference championship. Utes at 13. Number 14, we have Vanderbilt. That's an interesting one. Michigan at 15. Not sure I agree with that too much. Texas at 16. Another one that's kind of iffy. And then we're just going to keep going with a couple more iffies, as USC is number 17. Not a huge fan of that. We do have Virginia at 18. That's probably the number one team that's likely to be in the ACC Conference Championship game. They faced Virginia Tech. They did lose a linebacker. I'm going to blank on his name right now. I do apologize. I'll probably get that up in a bit. But Virginia Tech, Virginia rivalry game should be interesting. We have Tennessee at 19. We have Arizona State jumps up to 20. I would probably flip Arizona and Arizona State personally, but that's just me. SMU sneaks back in, man. SMU, after being counted out all year, Rhett Lashley, after those tough losses to Baylor, TCU at the beginning of the year, one of them questionable in my opinion. Rhett Lashley, Kevin Jennings and company, they come back, and now they're 21, and they go to California and face the Cal Bears, who just got rid of Justin Wilcox after 9 years. Wilcox, obviously, he lost the big game against Stanford this past week. That was kind of a blowout game, to be honest with you. It's a crazy turnover, crazy game. Not one you want to see if you're Cal alum and fans, and I think we're kind of seeing that happen. And that's why he's no longer coach of the team. That tends to happen. Number 22, we do have the Pitt Panthers, and Pitt. This is where it gets interesting because Virginia, Pitt, SMU, and Miami are all in this kind of weird situation where SMU and Virginia, they just have to win and they're in. Pitt, even if Pitt beats Miami this week, which is who they're going to face in the final week of the regular season, I'll actually be at the game for live updates. So will Jacob Murray. Shout out Jacob. But even if Pitt beats Miami, they might not find themselves either in the ACC championship game or in the college playoff, which would, to be honest, I blame Coach Narduzzi. I blame Pat Narduzzi, head coach of the Pitt Panthers, for that, because, man, during that Notre Dame game, beforehand, him saying that, and sorry, I'm just taking this ad off on the side there. No ads. I'd rather have regular comments. Before that Notre Dame game, he was basically saying that it wasn't a must-win game against, as you guys are seeing here, guys and gals are seeing, number 9 in the country. That's not good, Bob. That's not fantastic at all. That's actually terrible. And it's not something that you want to see have happen for a football team that had a real chance to be in the college football playoff. They were looking great. Mason Heinschel has looked fantastic. The true freshman quarterback there for the Pitt Panthers. He looked fantastic. So seeing them collapse the way they did in Notre Dame, and I know people are like, well, Notre Dame just beat Syracuse 70-7. What do you mean? They're just beating people down. I want people to understand that Syracuse football is not good right now. There was no real plan after Stephen Jelly. I'll talk about that a little bit later with Dan Tortora at the 9 o'clock hour, top of the hour here. But so make sure you stay tuned for that. But Pitt losing the way they did, that was bad. Notre Dame, credit Notre Dame's defense. They did make Heinschel look like a true freshman. But man, that was a game that they had, and it was at home. They had College Game Day there, everything big there. And I really think Narduzzi's comments stating how little of a game it was, so to speak, only made things easier for Notre Dame. Okay, I'm going to walk in. And then we saw the classless stuff that he was doing, taking the timeout at the end of the game. Obviously, Notre Dame's head coach didn't really like that too much. Hard to blame him. That's why his interaction was very short as opposed to his interaction with Fran Brown over this past week, despite the blowout. So that'll be an interesting game. Then we have Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is on the outside looking in now after that. Just talked about the Pitt Panthers after they just kind of whooped their behind, and that was at Tech. So that's a bad look. Then we have Tulane, the first American team makes its appearance. Got to be honest, I love John Summerall. Don't love that ranking for Tulane. I'm surprised North Texas isn't there. Yes, I know that they beat Northwestern. Yes, I know that they have some P4 victories. But man, I'm not. highest on Tulane as a playoff team. And then we have Arizona. Arizona's kind of my sleeper. Like I said before, I would have rather flipped Arizona State with Arizona. Arizona's been sneaky good, man. They've just been sneaky good. They beat the behind of Baylor. They beat Cincinnati. They beat Kansas. They whooped Colorado. Obviously, they only lost 3 points to Houston. They lost to BYU in OT. Like, this is a good football team. Their one bad loss on the year is Iowa State. But I mean, hey, man, that's early in the season. I'm not going to give them a pass for that because it's still, late September, but I'm a fan of Arizona. I would like to see them and State switched. But other than that, I mean, Michigan might be a little too high. I don't know if they really have great wins there. Texas, for that 15 through 20 is kind of, I think that's kind of, we're going to have to fraud check a couple of these guys, especially once the playoffs happen. But like I said, I see people tune in. This is a live show. Make sure you're liking. If you're watching on YouTube, it's completely free to do so. Make sure to leave a comment. It is live. I'll get to all the comments as long as it's not anything vulgar, because there might be children or teenagers watching this show. So I don't want to, introduce them to any of that kind of nonsense. But with that being said, actually, we have our first guest in the green room. I mentioned him earlier because you guys are going to be seeing him in our Prospect Watch segment, interviewing Jalen Anderson. So I'm going to bring him in right now. It's our East Coast correspondent covering the Florida Atlantic Owls, the FIU Panthers, and the USF Bulls. It is Brandyn Pokrass. And Brandyn, before we go double screen, just me and you, bringing up the list of the college football rankings here after week 14. Any surprises in your eyes? Anybody you think should be higher, think should be lower?
It's my first real look at everything, in terms of the newest rankings, right? And this is now getting to a point where we can actually start making, full assessments, because it's not, let's see how things play out. And it's not, we still have basically a month left. It's, all right, we're basically 1 week away. And I wouldn't say I'm too surprised by anything, but to be completely honest, I think there's a few teams I'm watching specifically in terms of how do they value certain things. Like, for example, I'm interested to see that Georgia-Texas Tech slot. I'm interested to see Oregon versus Ole Miss. I'm interested to see the Miami-Notre Dame, if they actually get close to one another. If they give that edge to Miami, I think that pick game will have a lot of bearing. Obviously, you look at the bottom of the top 25, Pitt and Georgia Tech and SMU. That is, and along with Virginia, is kind of the committee being like, we don't know what's happening with the ACC.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen here. So let's just throw them in a cluster. I think Texas, I want to see what happens this weekend with Texas. That's going to be a very fun conversation if they beat Texas A&M this week. And then Texas A&M will be a very fun conversation of where they slot in. And then the biggest one for me, obviously a lot of my coverage this year is revolved around the group of 5, the group of 6, however you want to specify it. I'm very surprised by Tulane still getting that slot. I think you can make an argument it's a placeholder. I'm very interested to see how much the Eric Morris news affects the playoff committee's view of North Texas, and how, if that news wasn't announced before the college football playoff show tonight,
that's a good question.
If maybe we're looking at a different team in the top 25 of the college football playoff rankings. Because, yes, I get North Texas, right? Oh, who have they played? Who have they beat? North Texas also beating the brakes off everyone. They're playing like one of the best offenses in the country. If you look at metrics, they are one of the best offenses in the country, opponent adjusted, right? This isn't a team that is just fluking its way to victories. Drew Mestmaker's throwing for feels like 400 yards every single game, right? Caleb Hawkins looks fantastic. Wyatt Young looks like one of the better wide receivers in college football. This isn't a team that's doing it by accident, right? So I'm still very interested to see why Tulane is still ranked above them. I'm not surprised that Navy isn't getting a lot of love, because Navy never gets a lot of love in these types of rankings. It was the same thing for Army last year.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm very interested to see if this holds next week, why the committee basically looks at it and it's like, hey, this is why we put Tulane over North Texas. Or you know, and obviously the conference championship has to bear itself out and that race, and we'll get into that. But I just think that for tiebreaker purposes, the fact that Tulane is still above North Texas, I'm very suspicious of that.
Yeah, I think you could even go as much to say maybe JMU might deserve some love, but you know,
that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how that, because I mean, if you're an FSU fan and you see North Texas, and I can kind of understand why you'd be upset if North Texas was in there, considering how that all worked with Jordan Travis. But it's good. Excuse me. It's going to be interesting to see how the American plays out. If SMU ends up winning the ACC, if that has any effect on how the top 5 conference champions conference champions are decided for the college playoff. Things will be interesting. We'll get to a little bit more of the college playoff with Dan Tatoria and Shane Barrett at the top of the hour. But I did want to talk to you about, one of the teams, maybe not in the college football playoff, but they secured a bowl eligibility for the first time since 2019, and in the first season under new head coach Willie Simmons. That is the Florida International University and the Panthers. So you were at the game where they beat Jack State, number 1 in the conference, undefeated in the conference. Their first loss is to FIU, and that's to secure their bowl eligibility. Now they travel to Sam Houston, but you were actually at that game when everything was clenched. Talk to me about how that went down. What was the vibes like in the press box, on the field with the players, and in the post game?
It's a vibe of everyone feeling like their hard work's being rewarded. And I asked head coach Willie Simmons today about what his favorite part of seeing this team grow has been. And he mentioned a big part of it being how close this team is. And, later part of the press conference, or a little bit later in that answer, he mentioned specifically about Kewan Jenkins, the quarterback, as a prime example of this, how despite him not being the starting quarterback anymore, he's still bringing all the energy. He was voted by the leadership council as the guy that brought the most energy on the sidelines. And he said, obviously they still have a lot to improve on. They still want to build that championship culture at FIU. But he said the way the team has come together and how they've bonded and have gotten so close has played a big role in what they've done down the stretch. And I think if you really bear that out, you can see that in the results, right? FIU always had the talent this year. That was never a question. That was never a question when we were talking in the beginning of the season, before the season, right? They've always had the talent to win a lot of games. But they faced a lot of inconsistencies throughout the year. They would win a big game or compete against a team that a lot of people think they shouldn't have. And then, you look at a Delaware game. They lost that game by a score that they should not have lost by. You could argue they should have won that game. The same thing could go for that Missouri State game, despite a furious attempt at a comeback. And ever since that Missouri State game, it feels like something clicked. And whether it be truly putting the pedal to the metal against Middle Tennessee, whether it is beating Liberty for the first time, whether it is beating Jacksonville State for that first time, you've seen that progress continue. You finally have seen that big word get achieved little by little. Consistency. It's not every play, every down, but game by game, the Panthers are getting better. FIU is getting better. The coaches are making the adjustments. The players are improving. And lo and behold, now you have one of the more successful FIU seasons since I started college.
Yeah.
Right? It's been 2019 is not as close away as a lot of people think. That is a long time to not get to a bowl game.
He's dating himself here, folks.
I'm not that old. The fact that FIU was able to do that in year one truly speaks to not only the coaching staff, but speaks to the type of players that they have on the roster, not just ability-wise, but character-wise, right? It speaks to how they were able to come together and overcome their adversity and truly not get down when they lost a few games that they probably shouldn't have and really turn things around. And I think, look, at the end of the day, that only means good things for FIU going forward. It really does.
Yeah. Losing to Delaware, I wasn't too surprised at that because this is like the first. Delaware just got in the conference. You don't know what you're going to expect. And a lot of people didn't really expect Ryan Carty to have his offense throwing for, have the backup quarterback leading the conference in passing yards at one point. He may still be doing so. I'd have to double check. maybe not anymore. So that one I wasn't surprised. But outside of that, like there's a lot of firsts in this year under Willie Simmons, a lot of first-time victories since. I mean, the Middle Tennessee is a great one too. They haven't beaten Middle Tennessee, and that speaks volumes because that's
a very long time.
Right.
On the road, specifically.
Yes. Yeah. Yep, exactly. And that speaks volumes, beating Jack State, who was undefeated. I believe they ended up beating Western Kentucky while they were undefeated in the conference too. So having those two blemishes, I mean, so it leads me to the $1 million question I'm going to ask you here. How long is Willie Simmons going to be the head coach of FIU before the doors come, people come knocking at that door?
It's the unfortunate part of college football, but this is the type of question that's been around for eons. I wouldn't say eons, but forever, right? Didn't matter what
sticks
era.
And stones.
It didn't matter. It doesn't matter what era of college football you're in. Coaches always leave for new jobs. The player movement part is the new factor, and that's a whole different discussion for how you ended up there. Long and short of it, thanks NCAA for doing nothing for years. But to answer your question, I think it really comes down to what year 2 and beyond looks like. Because unless something crazy happens, right? Unless a school like a Florida State miraculously comes open after they said it wouldn't, or an SEC school just calls and says, hey, we want to make you the head coach, and just completely puts a number on the table that no school period in the group of 6 could even match. Like that's the one scenario where I'm like, okay, that would make sense. Otherwise, I think you're going to get to maybe even 3 or 4 years of Willie Simmons at FIU, because I really think he wants to build it, right? He talks about what he wants to build at FIU, obviously. And look, it's coach speak. Every coach says that they want to build a program, and then you get to the end of the year and it's like, okay, are they actually going to do that, or are they going to move on to the next job? But I just think it's not this year, because I think a lot of places are going to be like, all right, what does year 2 look like? What's that next step, right? What's that elevation from FIU? What does this really good 2026 class look like when they come in? What does this next transfer portal class look like? What does the player development side look like at a school that, historically hasn't been able to do that year after year, right? If he's able to do that, then wouldn't be surprised if you're starting to get some bigger phone calls from higher level jobs. And then I think that's when the discussion really starts. Because I think if Willie Simmons has FIU after this year at 9 wins and in prime position to contend for a Conference USA title, which I do not think is off the table in the slightest, then I think you're going to start seeing, hey, rumblings of job X or job Y coming available. Hell, Florida State comes available, knowing his roots in that area. There may be calls for that to be the guy in that coaching search.
Yeah, that'll be very fascinating to see. I agree with you that I think Willie's doing a great job just taking steps up the ladder the way he needs to. It's an invaluable coaching experience, and I think that not rushing it's probably smart. And who knows, Norvell could be retained as a FSU figurehead, because they could be like, hey, let's just see what happens at FIU real quick. Who knows? You never know what goes into decision making between some of these powers that be. And I think Willie Simmons would be a great, if he ends up getting a P4 job, I think
he's a great coach. He will be a great coach anywhere. That is, if you really want to know my stance, I think he will be a great coach anywhere. He's done that at FAMU. He's done that at what do you call it? He showed he can do it at Duke. He's shown it at every single stop he's been at. Right. This is a head coach and a coach that has succeeded everywhere he's gone. This is a guy that is able to develop players and get guys playing for him and buying into the culture. That is something that in any day and age of college football, but specifically this day and age of college football, is very important. And with the success that I expect this program to continue to have, I think this is going to be a name that only gets more and more buzz. Hey, if we're being completely honest, you're already starting to see some buzz around his name.
Yeah, 100%. And that's actually a great segue because I have another beat reporter who covers a Florida team that you also cover in the guest room right now. Would you look at it? They have some coaching. I won't call it drama, but some rumor mills going around on the other side of the peg of Florida. So I'm going to bring our next guest in. She covers the USF Bulls for the league winners, of course. It is Mackenzie Neglia. Mackenzie, how are you doing tonight?
I'm all right. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. I appreciate you coming on as always. Today, I believe you were at the USF pressers. Obviously, not dead yet. There's still some stuff that can happen, and to potentially see them in a conference championship game. A lot rides on the next 2 or 3 days, actually. But what was the overall demeanor like between Coach Alex Golish and Mac Harris and the rest of the players that attended today?
Yeah, I mean, it was very lighthearted today, which was good to see and hear. I mean, definitely, a lot of ups and downs this season, but really just looking forward to having a good last home game for the regular season.
Yeah, it's Temple Owls, not the biggest name, but hey, if you can beat them down while you can, you got to do it. And it's interesting you say it's very highs and lows, and it's so crazy to think that this is still like an amazing season, and at the end of the day, like that's still great, but man, the what could have beens really, really have fans specifically like, man, we're so close and so far away, and a lot of that is the guy under the helmet, Alex Golish. A lot of rumor stuff going around now. The Oklahoma State job is now taken by Eric Morris of North Texas. So that, who knows if that affects North Texas's game, which is going to be massive for USF. Who knows if Navy comes up short against Memphis at Memphis. That's going to be massive too. Real chance that USF finds themselves on the outside looking in, but still looking a little bit. Did they talk about any of that at all? Any implications, or are they just straight down to business for the Rice game?
Not really. I mean, kind of just staying honed into to what's going on there, but always focus on their process and just taking it next play kind of thing.
Yeah, that's probably smart. You don't want to get too caught in the moment. Maybe that could have played a part in potential losses. Who knows how it's gone? Brandyn, for you, what have you kind of seen from the team? I mean, obviously the Navy loss was unfortunate. They bounced back, have another beat down the following week, UAB. What are your takeaways from the team? The way it's able to, I mean, obviously everybody's gonna have slip ups. Perfect seasons are very hard to come by. But just being able to get out of those lows and just be able to continue battling back.
I think it really speaks to the leadership of the team. That was something that was talked about heavily after, for example, the UTSA game, after the Memphis game. Would have been very easy to roll over and very easy to not play their best game at home, right? That's the game where it's like, all right, now we have to lock in. Now we have to do everything the right way. And they did everything the right way against UTSA. And, obviously you can look at it from a large lens perspective, being that USF has always struggled in these moments. USF hasn't been the best under Golish in these moments. But when you really boil it down, it's one quarter and it's really a slow start. That's really all the major issues USF has had outside of, let's say, the Miami game. And Miami, outside of their few slip-ups, has also been one of the better teams in the country, right? This is a team that most of the time, week in, week out, has been prepared, ready to play, has adjusted from their early mistakes, have been able to score a lot of points, have been able to force turnovers on defense. And that truly speaks to leadership. That speaks to a Byron Brown on offense. That speaks to a Mac Harris on defense. That speaks to all the different guys they have throughout these different positions that have allowed them to consistently succeed, right? This isn't a team that is curling up in a ball after the first punch. They are punching back. They are making things difficult on the opposition. And, once again, you look at the two losses in the conference. The Navy game, if that kick goes in from Nico Gramatica, who knows what happens in overtime, right? If they get one stop against Navy, USF probably is able to take a lead late in that game. So it's not for a lack of fighting. It's not for a lack of them having successes. it's just, and, obviously a lot of questions with the head coach and everything, but going forward, it's how do we keep that focus while losing some of the senior leaders and fixing those slip-ups that are the difference between being a 9-3, 10-3 team that just misses out on a conference championship and that one-loss team in the conference that is going to the conference championship and has a shot to play in the college football playoff.
Yeah, it's almost kind of, man, from the outside, it's just, it stings knowing that the one loss that North Texas does have right now is the shellacking that was brought on by USF. So it has to hurt to see, but I think with leaders like Mac Harris, shout out Mackenzie, who did a nice piece on him in the summer. He ended up having career high tackles against Navy. She called it first, this one right here. So make sure you guys are following her. Mackenzie, with this Rice game coming up, what are you looking for from the team itself? Obviously got to finish the year strong, but there's anything specific you want to take a look at?
I mean, two of the big things that Coach Ghost mentioned kind of coming from UAB and going into this game was that the penalties on both sides of the ball were so bad. And also being as efficient as possible on special teams. That's kind of been an ongoing concern also. So I guess playing clean football as much as possible, because those penalties ended up giving them giving up points or giving up opportunities for them. And also, I mean, a lot of people were looking at the defense, kind of like what happened to the defense in the Navy game, and a little bit in the UAB game also. So I guess just kind of a bounce back, full, just playing their best, like going out with a bang on their last home game.
Yeah, I know in the first half of that UAB game, people were not happy. Twitter was not a happy place for USF fans, the overreactions there, and then they ended up pulling away with it, so that was good to see. But, yeah, I mean, those questions were real. I mean, Mac Harris didn't really shy away from some of that stuff either in the post game for the Navy game. He's a great guy, so I'm really rooting for him. He's actually Pro Football Network's #1 rated linebacker. I think you sent me that, right, Brandon? So great for him. He's done fantastic. Brandon, what are you looking for from USF as they close out the season?
Finish strong. It's kind of taking a quote that was used today at FIU's presser. This is technically the last game that, well, pending some conference shenanigans, which I'm sure we'll get into shortly, this has potentially be the last game that this iteration of the USF Bowl is placed together, right? How do they finish out a very successful season on a high note, right? Maybe not the most successful, maybe not what the expectations were, but still a very successful season on a high note. How does the offense continue to roll? How does Byron Brown finish a very strong season off? How do the wide receivers, whether it be a Medea Rubin, a Keyshawn Singleton, Jeremiah Coger, finish off? How does the offensive line perform? How do the running backs perform? And then, as Mackenzie mentioned, how does the defense really just play its best game in a few weeks, right? Can you avoid the penalties? Can you avoid, the miscommunications? Can you have the secondary locked in for a full 4 quarters? Can you have everyone flying to the football? And a fun little part about this game, too, is that this, in a way, allows them to rebound from kind of some of the mistakes they had against Navy. Rice is going to challenge USF in a very similar way to Navy. It's a triple option team. They're going to test the edges of the defense. They're going to test them in terms of their eye discipline. This is a great opportunity for USF to show that, hey, we are equipped to face a team like this. We can shut a team like this down, and we're not going to roll over if we get punched in the mouth. Again, it's a very unique opportunity for the USF defense, even more so than USF offense. I think the USF offense will be more than fine. I think they'll have their successes. I'm really interested to see how the defense goes out with a bang in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to be curious too. Hopefully, I don't know if you guys can tell, my internet just died on me in the middle of that.
It did.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. As usual, there wouldn't be anything less. I couldn't expect anything less. Mackenzie, before I get you out of here, though, I'll ask you this every week. I'm going to ask you this for the final regular season week. How does this game go? Who wins and what happens?
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh, I thought we lost it. I was like, oh no, not again. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go USF on this one. I think that it's gonna be a better, not better, but a stronger performance from them than from what happened last season, which they were talking about in the press today. Also, they played Rice in the last game last season, and that had a very bad ending. But so being able to just come out on top, and now it's senior night.
Yeah.
So there's like about 30 seniors, so it's a very special game for them, and it's a very senior-led heavy team. It's also Fan Appreciation Day, and they're also having a live bowl.
I heard that. Yeah.
Never had a live mascot, so I don't know what that's gonna entail.
You're gonna have to get some video of that.
But no, and I think Cole Best said it best today, where he was like, we love seeing the fans. He's like, so everyone, I think, people were even just last week, they were kind of disappointed of everything that's happened, but at the same time, even when I was just like walking around school yesterday, like all these people were just like, go Bulls, like we're just like saying that to anybody who was walking by. So I think that the excitement is still there, and that they're going to be able to come out of this one on a good note.
I hope so. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to see them try to find a way. I mean, through the season that they've been, just to beat Rice and then somehow find themselves into the championship game. That would just be fitting considering the year that they've had. Mackenzie, before I let you out of here, though, just let everyone know where they can find you at on your social media.
Yeah, all of my USF coverage is on my X or Twitter. It's just at Mackenzie Neglia.
Awesome. Perfect. Mackenzie, thank you so much for coming on the show. Always appreciate having you on. If I can just talk a little bit better and my internet didn't die, this would maybe be a little more enjoyable. But I do appreciate everything. Thank you so much. And I'll see you later.
Of course. Appreciate you guys.
Later. That is Mackenzie Neglia of the League Winners. You can find her on X/Twitter at MackenziENeglia. Mackenzie Neglia. Follow her for all USF Bulls content. And Brandon, before I let you get out of here, we do got to talk about the one team that is not bowl eligible, and that is the Boca Raton-based Florida Atlantic Owls. I mean, they had a great game against UConn. Ended on a last-second field goal that didn't go in for them, but Caden Veldkamp played it fantastically. 300-yard receivers. Pieces seem to be there, but there's still something missing. What do you think is missing from that team from fully getting them to where they want to be?
I don't know. It feels like something different every week, right? Yeah. It's like 1 week it's the defense steps up for 2 quarters and the offense has moved the ball, and then when the offense moves, the defense falls apart, and then vice versa, and on and on we go. And Caden Veldkamp plays one of the best quarterback games of the entire season last week, and the defense can't get a stop when it matters. And then he steps up to the plate again with the offense, and then the special teams let him down. Like, it feels like it's not like deja vu, but it's pretty damn close, because it feels like every time we come on the show and talk, it's, hey, FAU had some really great moments. They had some guys really stand out. And then when it really mattered, everything fell apart. And this felt like the shift. This felt like them finally punching through that wall, the way they battled back from that huge first quarter, first half deficit, the way they took the lead and they just couldn't close. It's the same story, but in a different mold, a much different mold, a more heartbreaking mold, the way it happened and what it meant for their season, but a similar vein, right? I think when I look at it, it's so tough in college football because if this were the NFL, I'd be looking at things with this roster and being like, you know what? Yeah, they're going to miss and just trying to draw the parallels, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're going to miss the playoffs. Man, they got the quarterback and they got the offensive play caller and you know, the defense has some moments. And now if everyone develops another year, where are they going to be next year? Right. The problem with college football, especially with teams that aren't P4 and even with P4 teams, is there's so much player movement and so much uncertainty. You don't know who you're going to have next season, right? So I'd love to say, hey, this wide receiver room is going to be insane next year, and they're going to be even better. I can't tell you with certainty who's going to be back and who isn't. I can't tell you what the offensive line looks like and if that group is going to take strides because who's still going to be on the team, right? And that goes, by the way, that goes for every team that we've talked about and I've covered. That goes for USF. That goes for FIU. You don't truly know. You can have suspicions, you can have inklings, but you don't truly know until those reports and news start flying, right? And you truly arrive at the next season or the spring and be like, hey, what is our roster? That is my biggest thing with FAU, because if everything stays the same and all things are equal and they're able to bring in some of the recruits that they're adding that are very talented, I feel good about their prospects heading into next year. I feel good about what they're going to be able to do, especially on offense, and if they make the necessary tweaks on defense too. I'm very interested to see what the portal looks like for them in terms of guys they lose and guys they bring in, and what the strategy is. Because are you, after a year where you didn't have the success you wanted with the strategy, going to go full portal heavy again and hope you hit this time? Are you going to hope that you hit on the edge rushers this time, you hit on the offensive linemen this time, and that paired with some of the younger guys developing, now you have a higher floor and more depth? Are you going to go into the year with 4 total running backs on scholarship again? Right? Like, I have so many questions. And it's not questions to the point of, oh, I think FAU is going to be bad. I just need to know what this roster looks like, because if they keep the majority of their guys, I think this offense is going to be very difficult for teams to deal with a quarterback that is in a year 2 of his scheme, with wide receivers that are in year 2 of the scheme. How dangerous can this be? It could be one of the most dangerous offenses in all college football. Like, I don't think that's off the table, right? But what are the main cogs of that offense? Is there an outside shot? They lose the quarterback in Camp, right? With how many teams are going to be quarterback starved in the portal? Like, I don't have the answers to that. And until there's more clarity and more just flat out answers, I don't think you can give the perfect assessment on where FAU goes from here. Saturday is going to be a great key. What is the makeup of this team after a heartbreaking loss against the East Carolina team that is going to be playing very hard?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, they're going to want to prove a point after last week against UTSA. Yeah,
UTSA took them out basically, right?
In the vortex that is the Alamo Dome, because they just simply they don't lose there, which is insane. How do you respond? Because that's going to be a key, and then you're in the off season, and that's when we start having the answers. But kind of just bringing it full circle, I just would like to see some more answers on the clarity of some of the key cogs for 2026. Just throw out some names, right? Velkamp, Shields, Dutton, Messer, Wasim, Platt, the tight end room in general, offensive line I mentioned, what cornerbacks are sticking and got, like, we could, like, legitimately, I can name a reason for every single position on the roster for why I'm reserving true judgment.
Right.
And when it's literally that deep, it's very hard to give a full assessment.
Yeah, for anyone listening right now, we are talking Florida Atlantic football with Zach Kidley, first-time head coach. They fell short of their their bowl eligibility aspirations with a heartbreaking loss to UConn, a game that I'm going to be honest, I thought they were going to get blown out of that game. They looked like it was for the first half, and they battled back. But Caden Shields-Dutton, a name you mentioned, he's a guy that I'm really looking to see if he transfers out. We've been, obviously, if you guys follow the company at all, if you listen to us, I'm sure we have a couple interviews on the YouTube channel with Caden Shields-Dutton and on X/Twitter and probably Instagram too. Who knows? Caden's our guy, and he just happens to be the best running back potentially in the room for Florida Atlantic. Whether or not he stays, that's going to be very telling. There's so much with that team that I just don't, like you said, we don't have the answer yet. I think this upcoming week is going to tell us a lot of answers because ECU is a really good team, and it'll be interesting to see what they want to play for because they are likely out of the American Conference Championship game. So that'll be very interesting. You know, it's a year better than a game so far, one game better than what Tom Herman had. Potentially could be another if they get the win. Is that enough? Some fans seem to think so. I personally don't, not yet. I thought there's going to be a lot bigger aspirations for the team, but I guess that's just how it is. I guess we'll find out next year, maybe next week, this winter. Hard to say. But Brandon, before I let you get out of here, just let everybody know where they can find you on your social media.
So, as usual, I am on Instagram at bpoc24. I am on Twitter at bpoc24, Blue Sky at Brandon-Pokrass. Lots of content coming up this week. Likely we'll be at FAU pending American Conference shenanigans, and then you will see where I am at. You can probably take a wild guess. And then beyond that, well, you're just going to have to stay tuned.
Yeah, I appreciate you. It's going to be an interesting week and a very crazy December to January. Now, Brandon, I appreciate you so much for coming on, brother. I'll talk to you later.
Have a great one.
That is Brandyn Pokrass of the Leaguers. You can find him at X/Twitter at BPOK24. And hey, if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that. There it is. That like and subscribe. It's completely free, easy to do. Helps the site out, helps the company out a lot, helps the video out a lot. This is a live show, so if you're leaving comments, we will get to them live. And if you leave comments after the show's over, give me 24, 48 hours. I'll make sure to get back to you and comment back. I do have my next guest in the waiting room as we transfer over to our P4 segment. He's our West Coast correspondent covering Cal Bears and the Las Vegas Rebels and UNLV Rebels and UCLA Bruins. He's the head man of it all. It is my man, Cody Henderson. Cody, how you doing, brother?
What's going on, Tommy?
I'm doing all right, man. A lot of stuff happening with the Cal Golden Bears. Obviously, they lost the big game, which – I mean, given how last year's big game was, I knew it was going to be – I mean, you wrote about it. It was going to be a very close game no matter what. Didn't expect it to go the way it did. Turnovers obviously ended up being a problem. What were your takeaways from that contest?
I mean, my takeaways, I think, are the events that have kind of unfolded after the game, right? I mean, that was just a can't-lose game, and they lost. I felt like Justin Wilcox and the rest of the staff were coaching for their jobs that game. If they had won that game, maybe things are a little bit different. Maybe he's able to come back, the next couple of years. But that was kind of signed, sealed, delivered right there. So the turnovers were very costly in that game. I mean, Stanford got 14 free ones off of fumbles returned for a touchdown. And then Cal just really couldn't put it together after that. Once they got into that hole, it's too much for them to overcome.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, Justin Wilcox, he's an all right guy, but what is it, about 9 years now? Nothing really. It's kind of the same old story. He did kind of turn into DBU, but I mean, you gotta make a major adjustment at some point. I mean, the team started 3-0. San Diego State, listen, they're a good team, but losing to them 34-0, that was a little eye-opening. No, I'm not trying to discount the Aztecs. Like I said, they're 9-2 right now. They are a good team, but it's just seeing Cal kind of falter. Their late game heroics against Louisville was fantastic, but I mean, going into this, they could maybe win 7 games, and it's kind of the same thing we keep seeing. I mean, I know you weren't surprised that they fired him after the game, but who do you think could be some potential names? Ron Rivera said he has 12 or 14 names on a list right now. He mentioned the 2 coordinators as part of that. Are there any other names that you're specifically looking at who you would want to coach Cal going forward?
I mean, you look at what Jason Eck's done at New Mexico. I mean, he's been killing it. I mean, he's had success wherever he's went. He was a coach for, I don't know, it was Idaho or Idaho State, but I remember they were going up against the number 1 Ducks a couple of years back, and they really made him sweat up there in Autzen. It seems like his teams are always well prepared, well coached, and they just got their first win against Air Force for the first time in 20 years or something crazy like that. So that's one name, but there is one name, Thomas, and he's a very controversial figure in the Cal world, just from events that happened in the past. But Oregon defensive coordinator Tosh Lapoy, he's probably the favorite for the job. There was the Tosh-a-mageddon or whatever you want to call it from back in the day when Cal was about to have a top 5 national recruiting class, and they had Shaq Thompson lined up to come to Cal, and Stephon Diggs and all these other guys, and then he takes the job for Washington, and they all kind of dip. But there are some people, I guess there are some donors that really want this to happen, and they're really willing to shell out some money for him to come home. He played for De La Salle High School over there in Vallejo. He played at Cal. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people that still hold a grudge against him for what he did, kind of leaving for the money. But at the same time, like, if Cal ever gets to a spot where a big-time program is offering their head coach a ton of money to come play or to come coach for them, I mean, that's a pretty good spot for Cal to be in. That means they're having success. So to me, he's got to be candidate number 1. I mean, Sean Lewis, you look at what he's done down there in San Diego State. I mean, I think he's still a little too raw to come up to the P4, not P4, but to come up and play or coach for Cal. But I do like what he's doing down there. And then if you want to get really fun with it, you could always give Deshaun Jackson a call over what he's doing.
I've seen that. I've seen some people ask. Yeah.
I mean, that's not a very realistic option, but it would be funny to kind of see him, at least get a call, and I'm sure the fans would appreciate that too. And then I'm seeing reports of like Jim Mora, and like
I've heard Jim Mora go.
Yeah, and then you're seeing Tim Plow, UC Davis head coach. I mean, he might be, he's got his Cal connections, but I really don't feel like they go in that direction. Then Will Stein, I mean, the Oregon offensive coordinator too. If you recall, back from feels like forever ago, but it really wasn't that long ago. JKS flipped from Cal to Oregon, and I believe Will Stein was a big part in that. If you want to keep JKS around, that might be a good idea to maybe give Will Stein a call. But yeah, those are my main options.
Yeah, I don't hate the Tosh Lapoy is an interesting one for sure. I mean, he ended up winning. I think he won 2 rings when he was with Alabama for a little bit. Now he's obviously in Oregon, and Oregon's doing good. I mean, I love Eck. Eck would be interesting because I think he'd bring his son over too, and Jackson Eck and Cato Luave and Farrelly as just 3 just destructive linebacker. That would give Cal probably the best linebacker core but maybe even in college football. I might go as far as to say that because I think those guys are fantastic, and Eck's son is pretty good too. He's an interesting guy, man. New Mexico. Shout out to Daniel Zuniga who works for us and covers New Mexico for them. He's put me on to Jason Coach Eck a lot too, and I think he'd be interesting. How likely is it? Do you think that Lapoy? Because Lapoy, I've heard, is like the hot name. How likely do you think it is that he becomes the guy?
I think it's pretty likely right now, and I don't know. I was listening to the Ron Rivera media today this morning, him answering some questions about it. And he was talking about, he said, I feel like he had a Freudian slip where he was talking about, why do you want to come back to Cal? He said that specifically. Ooh. And so I don't know, I don't know if I don't know if that was on purpose or if that was a Freudian slip. I don't know. Maybe he just messed up how he wanted to approach that. But I do feel like it is very likely. I mean, you've got people in the administration and you've got Ron Rivera that actually care about football right now, and they care about sports.
Right.
And the national media still does not know that yet. They still think Cal is not serious about football. But I can tell you right now, Chancellor Rich Lyons and General Manager Ron Rivera are very serious about getting this program where it needs to be. And Tosh Lupoi was here when the Tedford Golden Age was here. He was a hell of a recruiter. He still is. You think about what he's done to help recruit for Alabama, how he's helping Dan Lanning. I mean, I believe someone asked Dan Lanning a question about that today too, and he was like, yeah, I don't know how you couldn't interview this guy. He's one of the best. He had nothing but praise for Lupoi. It's going to, there's some Cal fans that really don't like him based off what happened in the past, and there may or may not be some people that want to withhold funds if they go after him. My message to those people is, do you really care about football? I mean, do you really want to win? Because this guy may or may not be the X's and O's guy. And so I would really be intrigued on who he would bring in as assistant coaches.
Right.
But at the same time, I mean, he's one of the best recruiters in all of college football. Cal is probably going to start getting some, big time recruits if he comes. I don't know how they would do in the transfer portal, but Lupoi is very renowned as being a top-tier recruiter. And there are some times he's been, boat raced a couple of times. I believe the Rose Bowl, I don't know, last year or 2 years ago. There's a couple other games where his teams got whopped after being really good all year. But at the same time, Cal can just get to those games. I mean, if you can get someone that can help Cal get to those games, and I don't know. I don't know what they would pay him either. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Justin Wilcox's buyout was $10 million. People are saying, the UCLA is paying for it. I don't know how true that really is. If UCLA is going to pay up for that. But at the same time, I don't know. I think Cal's got money, and I think they're going to go after him hard.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you hit the nail on the head with Ron Rivera. Him just being there, there's a very different demeanor with Ron Rivera than some of the other people. I mean, obviously, because he's played in the NFL, he's been an NFL head coach, and he's just – I mean, I saw him at the ACC kickoff, and that man was all business. He was talking, but not – there was no ha-ha moments, really. You know what I mean? That man was cold shooting, propping up his program. So Ron Rivera, I think he's going to bring in we'll call it another golden age, I guess, of Cal football under his wing. I'm very excited. Do you think, just real quick, do you think if they get Lupoi, do you think JKS stays? I mean, I don't know if it's bent specifically on if they get a specific coach, but I've heard some rumors swirling that he could be out. Probably, I don't think Rivera's going to let that happen, but do you think there's any preference for who if JKS would leave if somebody was hired?
I think if they hired someone that really doesn't have any sort of experience, if they just really bomb this hire, I think he would leave. But right now, I mean, I don't get that feeling at all. I don't think he's going to leave. I mean, barring a disastrous hire. But I mean, with Lupoi, I think he would for sure stay.
Yeah. I think so too. That'll be interesting to see. I would love to see Cal just continue to be awesome defensively, and I'll be very interested to see who his assistants are on the offensive side and the coordinator. But Cody, but before I let you get out of here, man, SMU game coming up. What are your thoughts on that one? Can Cal play spoiler? Because SMU wins and they're in the ACC championship game.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to go back to that Ron Rivera press conference. They were talking to him today, and someone asked him, what was the vibe of the players in the locker room? And there's a lot of tears going around. Those guys love Justin Wilcox. He's a great guy. And I don't know how emotional they're going to be coming into this game, especially because it is going to be a lot of the seniors' last game too. Man, I don't know. Hey, I don't know. I feel like they could maybe put up a solid fight and lose. Maybe they could play spoiler, like if they played the exact same way they played against Louisville, but it would take that kind of effort and that type of game where they make not very many mistakes.
Yeah, I'm so curious to see how that shakes out. I mean, was it interim head coaches always get that little bump sometimes? They call it the interim bump. So we'll see if that works out. Be very interesting. But I mean, that's gonna be crazy. But before I let you get out of here, man, where can everyone find you out on your social media and everything?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on X. That's where I'm at. All lowercase at Cody, CODYTLW. Go ahead and give me a follow over there. I will be at the Cal SMU game this Saturday, so I'll have a bunch of content for you guys, and look forward to look forward to the game.
I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you for taking the time out to come on and talk to me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Tommy. Appreciate it.
That is Cody Henderson of the League Winners. You can find him on X/Twitter at CODYTLW. That is Cody Henderson. And before top of the hour, we have a guest who's going to be on. But before we do that, I talk Dan Tator. Before we do that, we are going to start with our prospect watch and his interview with Pearl River JUCO prospect Jalen Anderson and our Brandyn Pokrass. Stay tuned.
I want to start with your pass rushing because you're a consistent pass rushing presence. You've shown that in your career. You showed it last year at JUCO. How do you approach attacking different defensive linemen and deciding which pass rush moves to use in any given situation?
Well, a lot of it, first of all, it starts with, like my coach Zoe says, you got to have a plan before you start. So my plan, let's say it's third down, 3rd and 10, and we know they have to throw the ball. My plan might be, okay, well, I'm going to get a speed rush. I'm going to double swipe. Obviously, the offensive lineman might be one the heavy set, or maybe he jump sets, or he's really on his toes, right? So if he's a jump setter, then I'm going to be really quick. I got to be really quick and alert, because if I'm not alert, then he's going to grab me and I'm going to get held up. So I'm quick with my swipe. If he deep sets and gives me his chest, I'm going straight hands to the chest, bull rush, whatever it is, a snatch. But it's just about reading and reacting. That's one of the main things I've been working on over the offseason. It's just that on the fly, go quick adjustment, because football is a game of seconds. You only have maybe 3 seconds before the quarterback gets the ball off. So it's about everything you do in those 3 seconds.
Now, building on top of that, would you say you have a go-to pass rushing move, or is it kind of like you said, it's predicated on film, predicated on tendencies, what you're seeing on the field?
I mean, every good pass rusher, has their 3-4, what pretty much everybody calls their toolbox. And in my toolbox, I've got a couple go-to moves, double swipe, arm over, spin move inside, spin move outside, bull, snatch, long, whatever it is. I focus on those few moves and like the little saying goes, practice that one kick 10,000 times, not 10,000 kicks one time, and just try to perfect those few moves.
And now, heading into the run game, you're also a consistent presence in the backfield on those types of plays. What is your overall mentality as a player that allows you to, on top of your pass rushing prowess, be a consistent presence in the backfield?
Well, and it goes back to our coach and our mentality on defense. You got to play the run first. So 1st, 2nd down, that's run downs. You're not running up the field. You're not focused on bending the corner. 1st, 2nd down is a run down. Play your gap. You do what you need to do. Then you got to count on your 3 tech to do what he does, the shade, the backside 5, the linebackers to fill their gaps, and the running backs either got to run somebody over or they're coming in somebody's tackling. We're gang tackling. We're running to the football, trying to get the ball out, whatever it is. It's just more than about me. It's just everybody filling their gaps and doing their responsibilities. And, yeah.
Does any of that shift as you face different offensive schemes? Sometimes you're playing a spread attack that likes to run the ball a little bit differently than maybe more of a pro-style attack. Or is that kind of just an overall mentality that you guys really just attack as a defense with?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we have our sayings on defense, and we just believe that as long as we all on defense do our job, we execute, and we give maximum effort, we can stop anybody. We showed that last year completely. We damn near shut out a lot of teams, had a lot of turnovers, lots of defensive touchdowns, interceptions on the defensive line, made a lot of plays, just doing our jobs and being athletes.
Awesome. And now heading into your next season, what have you been the most focused on improving at your position over the summer?
Well, I mean, it's always something to improve on. But like I said, just one of the main things is the mental side of the game. I think for a long time I played football being a good athlete, being the kid that, runs faster or jumps farther or is a little bit stronger than everybody. So when I got to college last year, it was a big adjustment with everybody. A lot of JUCO guys are D1 guys that are just coming to JUCO, or a lot of JUCO guys are guys that just got to D1. And for example, like, week 8, we played Saquon Miles, great football player, great lineman. And it was a big challenge because, he's a Mississippi State player now. And those are the guys that you got to play at the highest level. So I just been focusing on the mental side of the game because obviously I couldn't out athlete him or out strength him. So it comes down to the technique and the little things, and just focusing on those little things, like if I'm supposed to double swipe and attack a exact wrist point, or when I do my long arm snatch and I snatch at 0.5 seconds into the rush, I just try to snatch 0.5 seconds into whatever that exact detail is. I'm trying to perfect that mental side of the game.
Have you found that there's been any like drills or certain film things that you've been looking for or watching that have helped you progress in that category?
Yeah, most definitely. It was one of the first things that I talked to my coaches about, and watching film on NFL guys, college guys, myself, and other offensive linemen and how they set. It was a lot easier to see things from bird's eye view. You can see things that you can't see when you're actually pass rushing. You might have closed your eyes during a rush, or offensive lineman might have stopped their feet or whatever it is, and you just start to pick up those things as you practice and pass rush, and whatever your case may be you're doing is. But it's easier to see once you're watching the film and once you can see it from an outside angle.
Absolutely. And now that kind of ties into my next question, which is a question I like to ask everyone that I get a chance to interview. If there was one player, past or present, who you could have as a mentor or coach, who would it be and why?
One player, past or present, that I could have as a mentor or coach. I'm sure later I'm gonna think of someone that I couldn't imagine that I passed up. But I mean, it's so many guys. I mean, I feel like you couldn't really go too wrong here, but maybe any NFL defensive end that's done it. I'd say someone like maybe Max Crosby. I know he's gone through a lot of adversity, and he's had to focus on his mental health, his own health, and being a great football player off the field. He's got a good bag. Or maybe someone like Aiden Hutchinson, who just recently went through injury, but is just a great all-around football player and knows the game, understands the game, and knows what they're doing when they're on the field. And so I'd just say someone that has done it and has also had to focus on the mental side of the game, because that's what I'm trying to focus on right now.
And then a kind of second part to this, are those the types of players you're trying to model your game after?
Well, I don't think there's anyone to model your game at. I think that, the best football players are their own players, So if I'm a, at the end of the day, I think I think Myles Garrett is just obviously, for obvious reasons, a phenomenal football player, but I don't want to be Myles Garrett, I want to be Jalen Anderson. So I'll do a double swipe, and if that's my signature move, that's my signature move. If I do an arm over, and that's whatever it is, I just want to perfect whatever my move is, and be the best, Jalen Anderson that I can be.
I love that answer, man. I really do, because as much as you can take different things from different players, making sure that you have your own style and your own game, that's one of the most important things.
Most definitely.
And now that ties into my last question, which is this: heading into your second year at JUCO, what do you want to showcase this year? And then the second part of that, what goals or milestones do you have for this season?
Well, to answer your first question, some of the things I just want to showcase is just that, obviously last year, coming off of, coming straight out of high school, and, in the junior college, you only get, even going into Division I, Division II, III, NAI, whatever level it is, you only have so long before the season starts. And obviously at junior college, it's a lot of freshmen expected to play. We have a great football program here. So if I wasn't, ready and ready to play, then I wouldn't have. But I just want to show that I'm not going to make those freshman mistakes, and that I'm a guy who can play at any level, and just show that me being in junior college isn't anything a testament to my skill. It's not, oh, he's a junior college guy, or, oh, he's not a power four guy, or he's a this and that. I don't want to be a label guy. I just want to be a great football player. And, when a coach looks at me or a scout looks at me, they say, gosh, what was he doing in JUCO? And to your second question about any goals or accolades, I'm really team focused. So honestly, first of all, I want to, I always give glory to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and I just want to glorify Him in this season, and hope that with that, he takes us to however far he has planned for us, and hopefully that's to a championship. We have a great football team. We have a really, really explosive and powerful offense. We got great quarterback play, some of the best receivers I've been around, best running backs. Our O-line is really promising. We got really, really big, freakish young athletes. Our D-line, obviously, I'm firsthand can tell you, we got some guys at D-line. Most of our D-line played and is back last year. Almost all of our linebackers are back from last year, and they lead the team really, really well. And obviously our secondary is always going to be well coached and ready to play. I think Coach Sims does a really, really amazing job with them, with the Jack boys, and it's just a really player-led team. So I think we can go really far as God has planned for us.
I love that answer, man. And that's a great way to close this one out. Before we get out of here, where can everyone find you on social media?
On Twitter, you can find me. My handle is Jalen 06 Anderson 8NDERS0N. On Instagram, JAYBANNEDD JBand on Instagram.
Well, we're really looking forward to seeing how Jalen does this year. And thank you guys for checking out another really fun interview. We'll be back with more shortly, but for myself and Jalen Anderson, thank you guys for checking this one out, and we'll catch you next time.
What's up, everyone? That was an interview with Pearl River JUCO prospect Jalen Anderson. He's a 4-star edge recruit for the Florida State Seminoles and Mike Norvell. He's given us back for another year. He's a primary guy that Norvell was targeting. I do have my next guest in the green room right now. I apologize. You can find him on the Wake Up Call show. It's live from Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. You can find him at wakeupcalldt.com. And you can find him on Twitter/X, whatever you like to call it, at Call D, the letters D and the letter T, Call DT. It is my good friend, Dan Tatora. Dan, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I appreciate you, brother.
What's up? Special thanks to you and to everybody at the League Winners, and a very special thank you and a happy evening to Indiana and Notre Dame fans.
Speaking of, I want to bring this up because I did want to get your opinion on it. I talked about it a little bit earlier at the start of the show, told everyone I would talk about it again at the top of the hour with you, and that is, of course, the college football playoff rankings as we head into week 14. Ohio State, Indiana 1 and 2, Texas A&M 3, Georgia and Texas Tech round out the top 5, Oregon Ducks, Ole Miss at 6-7, Oklahoma, Notre Dame 8-9, and Alabama at the top 10. But I mean, is there any surprises for you on this list here?
Yes, and yeah, there's a few. So one would be that Notre Dame is 9. They've been 9 for 3 weeks now, and they're above Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama they had 4 straight wins against the top. Here's the thing. When Alabama plays a good team, they typically stay good, and most of them. And so, we're not talking about they beat them at the time and they were in the top 25. Like, they beat them and they're still good, or they got better, like in the case of Georgia. So, yeah, can I just, I gotta get this off my chest. Okay. So somebody wrote something, and it just makes me, I feel like people should take an IQ test. Like, I feel like every few years we should, not even an IQ test, we should take a common sense test. It's like, in order to unlock your phone, you have to answer these 5 questions. What's 1 + 1? What's your name? Like, just, normal things. And I'm not kidding with you. Like, within the last couple hours, I had somebody write to me to my post that said, please do not tell me that Notre Dame blowing out Syracuse makes them an even better team, because Syracuse is one of the worst teams in the country. Yeah. And I'm an impartial broadcaster, folks. That's my hometown. I love my hometown. I love the team. I love the players. They're one of the worst teams in the country. They are. I mean, who's worse than them? Purdue. But there's some teams that are not great. Maybe Charlotte, but maybe not. And
that's brutal.
So I got this message, and it was in response to my Notre Dame, don't tell me that this team's really good by beating Syracuse. By the way, they weren't that good before. Their best win is over Pitt. USC is not a good win. I know the committee makes it look like it's a good win because they do this thing like they're doing with Michigan right now. You realize what they're doing with Michigan? They got Michigan in the top 20, almost the top 15. So when Ohio State beats them, they'll go, look at that good win. And Michigan barely beat Purdue.
Yeah.
They beat Purdue by 6. They beat Northwestern by 2. Why is Michigan in the top 25, let alone in the top 20, almost the top 15? How are they creeping to where Miami is and where Texas is? I mean, what are we doing? I mean, they're above Texas right now. Texas has multiple wins against good teams. That Michigan's above Texas. Michigan has played one ranked team the whole year, and they lost to Oklahoma. Yeah. Okay. Who did Texas beat? Did Texas beat Oklahoma? They did.
Yeah.
And so it was rhetorical. But Texas beat Oklahoma. So here's the thing. Texas beat the team that Michigan didn't beat, and Michigan doesn't have a top 25 win. So what in Sam hell is Michigan doing above Texas? But I digress. This person wrote in response to my Notre Dame, like, what have they done besides beat Pittsburgh? They said, how does anybody have Notre Dame over Miami still in the top 25? And he said something like that's a weak move. And I responded and I said, they got the same record, right? And Miami beat them head to head. You know what the person responded? Man, that's the only excuse y'all got. I said, bro, that's the only excuse we need. Like,
that's crazy.
This is the easiest thing for the committee to do. Okay. You got to figure out if you're going to let in 5, 6, or 7 SEC schools. But when it comes to Notre Dame and Miami, Notre Dame can't play in a conference championship because they're in a conference by themselves. Right. And Miami's not going to play in the conference championship. Probably not. So they're going to have this. So if Miami beats Pitt, and that's Notre Dame's best win. So now you beat the team that Notre Dame's best win is over, and you beat them head to head. We're not talking about Miami's got 3 or 4 losses. Notre Dame has 2. Okay. Right. We're talking, how does head to head not like people? I'm talking, these are people that have lived on the planet longer than a day, longer than 24 hours. Like they have driven a car. This is how scary this is. They've driven a car. They might be raising a child right now. They might be a teacher. They might be raising your children. And 8-2, same 9-2, whatever the hell it is right now. 9-2, and Miami beat them head to head. And bro responded to the post. I don't respond to a lot of idiocy. I just don't. But I was like, let me just entertain to see where this guy's at. I just felt a little, it was before the Syracuse interviews. I said, I got a minute. So I just was like, let me see where he's at. He goes, bro, like, that's the excuse that y'all give. Like, give another reason. I said, bro, there ain't no other reason. It's head to head. It's the same record, and it's head to head. Like, I'm sorry, because I don't want this to happen. I want to live a long life. But like, there's a part of me when I read messages like that, that's like, Jesus is going to knock on my door in like 15 minutes and I need to get ready, because like, I think he's up there right now going, I know I didn't make people this stupid. Like, I know God is going, I didn't like, you chose to be that dumb. Like you had to get into your brain, pull brain cells out, set them on fire in your kitchen stove. Like, how? Like, we're going to talk about a million things, and I don't want to, like, I'm not trying to take up all the time here, but like, bro, same record, beat them head to head. And it's like, bro, that's a played out move. No, it's not. Yeah. It's like, that's the easiest move to make. 1 + 1 is always going to be 2. Unless you're a current teacher in America, but 1 + 1 should be 2. If it's not, then the bank owes me money. But like, what are we doing when we're talking about Miami is not as good as I can't. Like, where's Miami right now? Miami is they are 3 spots behind Notre Dame. Like, I know that they legalized marijuana in a bunch of states, but y'all are smoking way too much. Like, that's all I'm gonna say.
The one that gets me, I mean, USC at 17 is interesting. I mean, Michigan over Texas is kind of crazy because Texas beat Vanderbilt, who is ahead of Michigan. So I mean, this is just getting crazy. USC only dropped 2 spots with their loss.
Have you looked at the Michigan schedule?
No, I haven't. No.
They played a chocolate pizza company, a candy shop. They played like a company that I think puts buttons on polo shirts, and they played a church. Like Michigan has not. New Mexico first game of the year.
Look at who they played.
Look at who they've played, and look at how they've played these last few games. How they if you barely beat Purdue and Northwestern, you shouldn't even sniff the top 30.
Yeah.
And look at you want to know why they do this? Because they have to make the Ohio State win over Michigan mean something for when they try to keep Texas out of the college football playoff. They have to be able to argue that Ohio State has one quality win before the Big Ten championship.
Yeah, they don't really have any good wins here. 3 points against Nebraska at Nebraska early in the year. Viola was still there. Okay. Right. Wisconsin, not great this year. Washington has shown to be kind of a joker. They lost to Wisconsin. Michigan State's not looking good. 5-point win against Purdue, only 21 points. That's bad. 2-point win against Northwestern. I mean, they beat Maryland, but Maryland's lost 7 in a row. That's not. I mean, they've lost to the only 2 good teams that they've played. I mean, New Mexico's okay, but that's first game of the year. Yeah, they shouldn't even be ranked.
BYU is above Miami. BYU is above Vanderbilt. They're above Texas.
Yeah.
And why is Tennessee still here?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Why is Tennessee still in this? Why? And they keep creeping closer and closer because people they're just in the top 20, Dan. Don't worry about it. No, they keep getting closer. they keep sniffing their way close. What is happening? Who's greasing the pockets? Let's go through the top 10. Okay. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M. Nobody's moving because they've all won. Okay. Now, if these were teams that played their schedules in the American, the ACC, or the Sun Belt, none of those teams with an undefeated record are even in the top 5. But that's where we are. By the way, I had a Notre Dame supporter, and I like Notre Dame. I love interviewing them. I'm friends with Riley Leonard. I was at the national championship. I love talking to Marcus Freeman. I can't say it enough to people. I have nothing against Notre Dame. I have to look at the nation, and I have to assess 136 teams. You're assessing the team that you like, and you can't see anything else. I'm assessing the country. And when I'm assessing the country, and this guy wrote to me, he goes, "You're right. Notre Dame's not a top 10 team. They're a top 5 team." And I went, wait a minute. They're above Texas A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, Miami, who beat them. So let's go through the top 3. Those aren't going to change. Now, this is the thing that I don't know. I don't know if people are talking about this. Maybe you did talk about it, Thomas, because you're a smart person. But Ohio State, okay, they have one quality win all year, and it's Texas. And the more the media craps on Texas, they have to understand there's another side to that. If you keep saying Texas ain't nobody, Texas isn't going to make it, Texas isn't who we thought they were, you're devaluing Ohio State's only prominent win.
Right.
So if you keep devaluing it, then why are they number 1? So they're not going to move those 3 teams. Georgia should be 4, okay? But anyone who's smoking dope that thinks that Georgia's not better than Indiana, I think Ohio State would give them a game. Listen, Ohio State gets an unfair advantage being in the Big Ten, and so do the rest of the Big Ten teams, but Ohio State backs it up, okay? Indiana played 11 unranked teams and went 11-0, and then they played Ohio State and got blown the hell out last year. And then they went to the college football playoff and got embarrassed. So, what are we talking about? So do we really think Indiana is going to run through a field of Georgia and Alabama and, maybe Miami, maybe a Vanderbilt, Ole Miss and whatnot, Texas A&M that came back from the dead against South Carolina? So, okay, the top 4 are the top 4. Texas Tech at 5. The committee likes the Big 12 this year. I don't know why. Because I don't think BYU is a good team, but they beat Utah.
I'm not sold on them either, yeah.
Right. Texas Tech, their win is over BYU. Yay for you. Okay, I think the Big 12 should get 1 team in this year. Okay, because I think the ACC is better, and I'll tell you why in a second when we discuss it. Oregon, by the way, smoke and mirrors. I like Oregon. I respect Dan Lanning. they do not have the schedule to warrant being a top 6 team. They just don't. Okay. Ole Miss and the Lane Train, like, first of all, bro needs to not think about the future right now, because I'm going to say this right now. If I'm Lane Kiffin and Florida goes, you have an ultimatum, and LSU tells me I have an ultimatum, I'm going to be like, what are you going to do? You're not going to wait 3 weeks for me to go try win a championship. Really? Who are you going to hire? Yeah. Like, show me who you're going to hire. So Ole Miss, good team. Oklahoma just beat Alabama. There's 2 teams in the whole world that did that this year. Notre Dame beat Pittsburgh, which is a good win. And here's the other thing that makes no sense. People want to like sniff the jockstrap at Notre Dame, but they don't want to say the ACC is a good conference. But the best win that Notre Dame has is against the ACC.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how that works?
Right. So it's like, you want me to respect Notre Dame because they beat Pitt, but you don't respect Pitt's entire conference. Right. Then you have Alabama, who with Oklahoma has beaten the most top 25 teams that have actually been top 25 teams in the beginning, middle, and end in the nation for the most part. And then you look at, so that's your top 10. Alabama should be higher. Okay. Georgia, I'm fine with Georgia where they're at. But I think you put Oklahoma at 5. I think you put Alabama at 6. I think you put Ole Miss at 7 because they haven't had a great schedule and they do have a loss. And then I think you figure out like what you do from there. Like you put Miami above Notre Dame because they beat them. And then you figure out where you want to put Oregon. But Vanderbilt's a dangerous team. They're behind Utah like stupid. Michigan, the fact that Michigan is in this poll right now proves to me that there's people in America that could not pass a drug test at 8 a.m. And then there's then Texas, who I think is the best 3-loss team in the country. Thank goodness SMU is in the top 25 now. Yeah. And so they deserve to be. Tulane deserves to be. But like Arizona, like again, trying to make the Big 12 look like it's good. Where's North Texas?
That's what I want to know.
You know what I mean? Like they got 1 loss and everybody's out here, pissing and moaning like Notre Dame's got 2 losses, but it's the beginning of the season. North Texas has been blowing everybody out. Look at the American. Look at how many ranked teams they've had this year. Look at how good these teams, the top 4 or 5 teams in the American, have been beating the crap out of each other. Like it's such a good conference. And they got the opportunity for like going into last week, 10 or 11 of the 14 schools could make it to a bowl game. Like Arizona State, I'll rock with that because like I think they've done some good things. And, Virginia has 1 loss, so they have a place in this. And I still think Pitt's good. I think Georgia Tech's a little bit of smoke and mirrors right now unless they do something against Georgia. But, I mean, the reality of it all is the best teams in this entire field are Ohio State, Georgia, in no specific order, Oklahoma, Alabama, Ole Miss, maybe Texas A&M, and then I'm looking at Vanderbilt. Like, I think that the SEC gets no less than 5. They probably may get 6. They could get 7. In a world where Texas beats Texas A&M and then something happens in the SEC championship game, I'm looking at 6 teams.
Yeah.
Or 7. Yeah. Like it's wild, but it's true. And I actually on Monday, I ran like this whole crazy, like if this happens and that happens and all that stuff. But yeah, you asked me what I agree with and I disagree with. Like, do people really think that these SEC schools that are lower than other teams or like outside of the top 10, you really think that Notre Dame 100% of the time is going to beat Vanderbilt? You really think Indiana is going to smoke Alabama? Like, what are we really talking about? Once the field is open, like the cream rises to the top, right? It's just about making sure the right cream gets in the coffee.
I love that. I wanted to ask you, do you think Eric Morris taking that North Texas job and that being announced before they made the rankings, do you think that had any effect on North Texas not being in there?
Oh, you mean Eric Morris, him leaving?
Yeah, because he got the Oklahoma State job. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, so I guess when you look at this, the reality of, and this is something I talked about with Lane Kiffin, because nobody should, like, I consider it tampering. Like if a coach is taking a job at another school especially in the case where you're like fighting for a college football playoff, like Ole Miss and like North Texas. Like, what are we doing here? And like, and 99.9% of the time when a team, no matter how good they are, if they lose their head coach, they don't win that postseason game. So like, I'm concerned that Ole Miss is going to make it to the college football playoff and crap out if they don't have Lane Kiffin. By the way, if they force Lane Kiffin to make a decision, and like Ole Miss is like, listen, figure it out, and they're being rude to him and like whatever, and he's got to make a decision after the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State, and they win that game. If they force him to make a decision, I want Lane to say one sentence at the end of his press conference. I want him to say all the stuff he's got to say. Then I want him to look right into the camera, and I want him to go, to all my Ole Miss rebels, just know, portal's open. That's all I want.
Could you imagine if he did that?
But see, that's Lane. Lane, if you follow Lane Kiffin, he's General Hospital. He's Days of Our Lives. Yeah. He's like As the World Turns, The Young and the Restless. He is a soap opera. He likes drama from what you can see on the outside. I don't know him personally, but it feels like he actually, like, if you were typing to him on social media and saying bad things, like I see him drinking coffee going, I love this SH, you know what, while he's just like laughing and reading stuff. So I don't like this whole like coach leaving, because now North Texas is a lame duck. Like North Texas should be in this thing, man. It's either Tulane or North Texas, in my opinion. I love Navy to have a shot, and they do, but like, now it's probably Tulane, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like this, why did North Texas do this? And, for what purpose did they do this? And I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the move by Eric Morris. I mean, doing this during the season when your team has one loss and you have the opportunity of making history, like, in my opinion, it feels like your head coach just spit on the shoes of your program and then he left. Like, it's dirty to me, man. Like, and I've sat with him and I've talked with him, but like, you don't do that. Like, you got all this way. You came all this way. You might have the best season in the history of the North Texas Mean Green. And then you're like, yeah, just so you all know, like, whatever happens, I'm out. Like, why would you do that right now?
Yeah. That one, just to leak it this week of all weeks, you know what I mean? Like, if it's going to happen, okay, it's going to happen. Coaching, we're no strangers to coaches saying, oh, I'm going to stay, and then they end up bouncing. That happens more times than we can count. But to leak it before the regular season's even over with is insane to me. More insane knowing that they win the game. Like, I mean, they're basically a shoe-in to play in the conference championship game. And now, like, Temple's not a bad team. Temple needs a win to get a bowl game. Temple has something to play for. So having this happen, I'm pretty sure UNT's having a players-only meeting tomorrow. Either they had it this afternoon or it's tomorrow afternoon. I can't remember what the news report said. But, I mean, if I'm a player, I mean, you got to assume he's taking Mestamaker and a couple of those other guys on the offensive side out. But, like, if you're a guy that, you're not going with him, or you're a defensive guy who you're likely not going with him, do you want to play for this guy who just up and left during the biggest moment of your life? And I mean, that's that's crazy to think about, potentially costing. And I mean, there is some precedent with that, there's just some precedent of stuff like that happening, and then the committee just taking a team completely out. A little bit different, but Jordan Travis getting hurt with FSU, they were just like, oh, backup quarterback, you're out of the playoff. Bye-bye. You don't even get a shot now. I mean, does that happen to Ole Miss? I don't think it happened to Ole Miss, but I mean, I think it's happening to North Texas right now. I mean, maybe I'm crazy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to put Arizona in here and you're not going to put North Texas, I mean, you've kind of made it clear to North Texas maybe where they're at with you. And again, I mean, these things, like, this isn't the player's fault. And I can't stand, like, they need to stop doing this. Like, you can't have a portal open at the end of the regular season before the postseason. You can't have coaches getting phone calls before the end of the season. You just can't. This should all be tampering. It should all be, penalties. It should be scholarships. It should be money. Like, it's ridiculous, because now you're somebody who gets this far and you put all this work in, and like now, if you're North Texas, do you want to play for a team whose lead man gave up on you? Like, in whether he did or not, that's what it feels like. If I was a player right now, I'd be like, Eric Morris, what the hell, bro? Like, look at where we're at. It's not like we're 3-9. Like, what are you doing? Like, Oklahoma State has nothing to lose. They suck this year, right? They suck. So they know, like, we can do whatever we want because we're not playing for anything. But like, how did Eric Morris not walk into the middle of the locker room, pull a pin, and drop the grenade just now?
That's my opinion on it. I mean, that's how it feels. I know Bob Chesney's getting some looks from Penn State and UCLA too, so it's not the same thing, but a similar thing. I mean, James Madison. I mean, if you're James Madison too, you're looking like, what do I have to do to win? When they lost to Louisville, whatever, that Louisville loss looks worse now because. And I mean,
they did the same thing Michigan did. They beat a bunch of unranked teams.
Yeah, honestly. But if you're JMU and you're seeing this, you have to look at yourself in the Sun Belt and be like, okay, maybe this isn't the conference that we need to be in. Do you jump to the American? I mean, they already do affiliate stuff with the American, so I don't know how good if that works.
Do you know that when Bob Chesney was leaving Holy Cross and going to the when he was leaving Holy Cross and looking at jobs, that he interviewed for the Syracuse job, and like he was close to getting that job before Fran Brown, and then he goes to James Madison. So like, look at where Syracuse is, and then look at where James Madison is right now. And I know they play in different conferences, but I'm just saying, like, look at what Bob Chesney's doing right now. And like, the argument was he didn't interview well. And I'm like,
I'm curious who conducted that interview because I've talked to Bob Chesney. He's a great, I mean, that guy is just, you want to run through a wall with that guy.
Yeah. One of my good buddies, like my little bro, Booby Santiago, he played for Chesney at Holy Cross. So
no kidding.
Yeah, he did. So like, dude, it was so close. Like, to me, from everything that I heard, I had like Chesney story ready. Like,
right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just wild to think what's going on here right now. Shane, just be patient. So you're going to get John Summerall. Okay. Life's going to be great for you. Let me tell you something. Okay. This guy, Thomas, he made me wait tonight. So, it's his fault. Why doesn't he just bring you and I on together, Shane? Why don't we all just have a party? But
that's I'm about to bring him on. I mean,
bring him on.
As well.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Bring Shane on.
All right. For our Auburn coverage, you guys know him. You love him. Find him at FF Shane B on X/Twitter. It is Shane Barrett. I'm gonna go this one. Yeah, let's go this one.
Ooh, that's fun.
I feel like.
What's up, DT?
What's up, man? Do you see what he did? He put himself in the middle.
He did put it.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's Jesus, and we're the two other guys on the cross.
We're the two other guys.
I had no choice in the order of this setup.
All messed up, man.
But we're talking college football playoffs. I'm gonna bring up that rankings in a bit because I wanted to actually get your thoughts as well, Shane, on how all that how that has gone down.
Well, before that happens, I just need to talk a little bit of trash to DT because Notre Dame just whipped that ass this past weekend.
Against
Syracuse.
And I'm going to talk a little bit trash back to you.
That's fine.
And I said they were going to lose by 40, and I actually thought Notre Dame was going to score 70 before I watched the game. So your trash needs to be taken out to another trash can because I said it too.
Man,
I was shocked. Like, I thought maybe I'm thinking of Syracuse from last year, but I was shocked that Notre Dame won that big. Like, honestly,
I was not.
I was not either. I didn't expect 70, but
Can I say something though? That was not the worst loss in Syracuse football history, in my opinion. Do you know which one it was?
No.
Okay. Some people say it was Liberty, which it wasn't because Liberty was a good team. Okay. Hugh Freeze that was there at the time and all that.
I don't want to talk about it.
What'd you say?
I said I don't want to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. So, but the worst loss in the history of Syracuse football, in my opinion, that I've lived through was when I went with my dad, Greg Robinson era, and Syracuse lost to the Akron Zips in the Dome. Okay.
Oh, that's a bad home loss.
Now, if you don't know the mascot of the Akron Zips, he is an anorexic kangaroo with a massive beer gut. Okay. He's this very like bone skinny kangaroo with this gut. He went into our end zone. He grabbed his gut, pulled it out, and started gyrating his body. And I looked at my dad and I was like, we just lost to that. Like, we lost to that. So I know that 63 points is bad, but when you lose to a kangaroo that doesn't eat anything except for drink beer, and then he shakes his bad self in your end zone, that's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life for Syracuse football.
Yeah, that one hurts, I bet.
That does. It hurts a lot.
I feel like it's probably comparable to Auburn's loss to New Mexico State a couple of years ago.
Yeah, there he is. Is that it right there?
Yeah, you know what? But like, he looked different.
He looks a little healthier now.
Yeah, he looked different back then. He wasn't wearing a shirt. I think he went topless at our game. So
I love that. But Shane, I did want to actually show you this, the college football rankings here. Let me bring it up in a second.
Yeah, we've been watching the Santa Claus too, so I'm not totally up to date on this.
Oh, not a great movie. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M. They're top three. Nothing's really changed. Georgia at 4, Texas Tech at 5, Oregon at 6, Ole Miss 7, Oklahoma at 8, Notre Dame is 9, Alabama behind them at 10, and then 11 through 15, BYU, Miami, Utah, Vandy, Michigan, 16 through 20, Texas, USC, Virginia, Tennessee, Arizona State, and then rounding out the final 25 is SMU, Pitt, Georgia Tech, Tulane, and Arizona. They just threw the 3 ACC teams in that bottom row there.
Dude, I am very confused, and maybe you two can enlighten me. Why is Miami at 12 when Virginia, Pitt, and until last week, Georgia Tech, and I think even SMU, all have a better conference record? Now, SMU, I know they're, 7-3, 8-3 at this point. So that part of it makes sense to me, but their conference records are all better than Miami. And Miami has not looked good in the last 4 weeks at least.
It's interesting.
That's the one I don't get.
It's the only conference where the conference leader is not.
They did that last year.
The highest.
Yeah, they did do it last year.
Yeah, with Clemson and SMU.
They would not put SMU above Miami for 4 weeks. It was crazy.
Didn't
and
SMU
then the other
winning too? Yeah.
Yeah, fighting Rhett Lashley's, love them. I think the biggest surprise to me, when you were just reading through them, is Utah at 13.
Yeah,
that's very surprising.
Over Vandy, Michigan.
Big 12 look good.
Yeah. No, that makes a ton of sense, but that's shocking.
I mean, Miami is, and I said this before, but Miami has the same exact record as Notre Dame, and they beat Notre Dame head to head, and they're behind Notre Dame in the polls, which has allowed the people that drink Tide for dinner to continue to believe that. I'm sorry, Thomas, but I mean, Tide Pods are not supposed to be edible, anyways. So, but they have Miami behind Notre Dame, but Notre Dame beat them head to head. And there's people I was watching Game Day, and Game Day's at what point does that not matter? I was it always. When does it?
So here's my pushback to that, and admittedly, I'm in Notre Dame. Notre Dame is my second favorite team, so I have a bit of rose-colored glasses there. But here's my pushback: is Notre Dame's 2 losses are to Texas A&M, who's number 3 in the country by 1 point, and Miami by 3 points in the very beginning of the year. Since then, Miami and Notre Dame have done basically this. I can't do it, but Notre Dame's gone up and can look to me like they have improved as a football team. I know the level of competition has not been there, but I mean, they still beat the brakes off of Pitt, and Pitt is contending for the ACC championship. Miami, on the other hand, since week 5 or week 6, has done nothing but trend downwards. So to me, it makes sense why you have Notre Dame and Miami where they are, even though the head-to-head, Miami beat them. That was eons ago. Hugh Freeze was still my team's head coach. Jackson Arnold was still starting at quarterback for Auburn, and you had Deuce Knight and Ashton Daniels sitting on the bench. What the hell are you doing, Hugh? So, that's ages ago at this point in the season. I get that, at some point it does have to matter, but I think you also have to factor in, where are the teams now? And I think that's, to me, why Notre Dame being ahead of Miami, at least right now, makes sense.
If Miami beats Pitt, so Miami has a win over Pitt, Notre Dame's best win of this entire season is over Pitt, and they have the head-to-head.
Yeah.
And I would say Miami's losses are to Louisville, who at one point was ranked in the top 25, a strong team, and a team that was at the upper echelon of the ACC. SMU is in a place right now where they could play for an ACC championship and win the ACC championship, and Louisville had been there. So I don't consider those to be bad losses. But the thing that I don't get is the best case scenario, for the best argument that anybody has about Notre Dame is that they passed the eye test, which I don't understand unless Notre Dame's the logo that took the place of the E that's in all the exams that we have when you go up, and the one that everybody can see at the top, or if we're in a place what are we talking about that their claims to fame is that they almost beat 2 really good teams. They're giving Miami credit. They're giving Notre Dame credit for almost beating Miami, but they're not giving Miami credit for beating Notre Dame.
Actually beating Notre Dame. No, that totally makes sense. Now, let's say, to answer your question, if Miami beats Pitt and it comes down to Miami, Notre Dame, it hurts me to say it, but I mean, I think you have to, I don't want it to be true, but I think you have to take Miami. If it comes down to those 2 teams at the 12 spot, then I think you have to. And here's the thing too, is that still gives the committee and all the big wigs the name brand that they want. Because that's probably another, let's be real. You both are smart. That's another reason Notre Dame's getting propped up is because they have that name brand value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, here's my counter question to you, Dan, is throw out record for a minute.
Okay.
From watching Notre Dame over the last 10 weeks, 9 weeks, do you see them as a top 12 team?
I think that Notre Dame in the college football playoff could wreak some havoc. And my response to someone who did not like the fact that I said Notre Dame's not a top 10 team at this moment in time, I responded to them and I said, I didn't say they can't win in the college football playoff. I didn't say they can't make it to the championship. I didn't say they can't win a championship. I'm just talking about, should they be at the table? Once you're at the table, because think about it. If Ohio State in that 8-9 matchup last year, if that flipped and they had to play in Tennessee, does Ohio State even get out of Tennessee to win a national championship? So, my thing with Notre Dame is, I think Jeremiah Love is incredible. I vote in a lot of these national polls, and Jeremiah Love is a part of my short list of running backs in this country. And so I undeniably support what he's done. I'm very proud of the work that they've done as a team overall. I love what Marcus Freeman has done with Notre Dame. I have no problems and no qualms with Notre Dame, and I have sheer respect for them. And I think if they're in this college football playoff, they can do some damage. It's just, should they be there over? And I ran a bunch of different scenarios. Should they be there? Because once they're in, they're going to be dangerous.
Yeah.
But it's do you put them in? If Texas beats Texas A&M, and you don't put Texas in with all the wins that Texas has, then what are you doing with Texas? And if you put in Notre Dame over Texas, or if you put in Notre Dame over Miami with the same record and Miami beat them head to head, what people have to understand is no matter how much they want a brand in the college football playoff, whatever you're going to do sets a precedent. And when they didn't let Florida State play in the 14 playoff because Jordan Travis was injured, Georgia lost Carson Beck in the SEC championship game, and Georgia made it in without a problem. There was no question. There was no thoughts about it. There was no work. They made him a top 4. So it's like, I mean, what are we saying when we say to one team, you can't get in because your quarterback's hurt, and we say to another team, you don't have to play in the first round?
Yeah.
That's a good point. I forgot that they did that with Georgia, to be honest with you.
By the way, I do have something for Shane. I prepared myself in case
no.
This is not scripted, by the way. This is a live show. The most I do is tell guests when we're coming on. Yeah.
I'm starting a GoFundMe for Tulane, and this is what it's called.
That's hilarious. I love that.
I think you're out of luck, buddy.
I'm trying, Tulane. I'm trying. Go away. Come on now. No, I mean, I think John Summerall, listen, when you sit next to John Summerall and you feel his personality, because him and I have built a relationship on and off the air. When you sit with him and you experience his energy and his essence, and then you hear him speak and you hear that Southern drawl come out of him. I mean, my brain was like, dude, you're going to be in the SEC at some point. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's like when I heard him in Charlotte, we're sitting next to each other. He's like, oh, Dan, he's like, it's so great to be with you. This is such a great and awesome opportunity. I'm so fired up. I was like, man, you're going to be in the SEC next year. Like, I'm not surprised. So, but he's such a good coach, and he's just a hell of a guy, and he's really, really awesome, and he's super kind and down to earth. And I don't know what I'm complaining about because I got his phone number. I'm gonna stay in touch with him, but I mean, I would still, I mean, I feel for Tulane because they lost Willie Fritz, who built the program up, and I was at the game when they beat USC and Caleb Williams, the future #1 pick at the point, in an instant classic at the Cotton Bowl. And then obviously I've been with John Summerall, and I was concerned. I'm like, okay, Willie brought him here,
right?
And now what happens now that Willie's gone to Houston? And then you see what Summerall did. But I mean, he'll be in the SEC. And I think, again, Shane, I'm happy we're on screen that I can say this to you, man to man, like to all of your family and your friends and all the people that you Venmo'd to vote in my poll so that John Summerall can win in that poll. It was like 60% that he was going to Auburn. And I was like, it was like not there. And then it just flew in that direction. And I go, you know what? Shane's being an internet troll right now.
I only voted with my personal account, and I think I retweeted it, and that was it.
Yeah, well, you retweeted it to the Auburn community, and they responded. So shout out to the Tigers because y'all definitely were not quiet on my poll. So.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh my Lord. Shane, I wanted to ask you because Eric Moore, I mean, you probably know by now, Oklahoma State got Eric. What are your thoughts about him doing that before the team's final home game as they're about to like be in the conference championship?
Man, it's a tough situation, especially if, like, for the kids, but like I don't know why you announced that now. That's
my thing. If you take the job, you take
Auburn's
it.
Auburn is in the same position with Summerall.
Yeah.
And so rumor has it that something is going to be announced Sunday or Monday. And everything that I've seen is like it's going to be Summerall. So I don't even know if that's different. But like before, like, because they still have a game to play and then can play in their conference championship, right?
Yeah.
So like why do it the game before? Like, why not wait until the regular season's over and then say, hey guys, I'm going to Oklahoma State. I'm still going to coach you through the conference championship and the playoff. If Oklahoma State lets him, which, like, there's 3 days till National Signing Day. Like, to me, you're not going to get much done other than solidify what you've got. Like, thinking from an Auburn perspective with Summerall too. Like,
right.
If we announce Summerall, he announces that he's keeping Durkin. Like, I feel like Dan's about to hold the sign up again. But then, like, you let him coach in the conference championship, and then if they make the playoff, you let him coach in that because you're not going to get a ton done in 3 days.
That's my biggest thing with it too. Is I just think the timing of it is bad. Like if you're gonna take the job, you take the job. But doing it like that, I mean, how hard is it to wait? What is it? 5 days from now? 6 days? Not that's what I'm saying. Like it's Thanksgiving. You ruined some fans' Thanksgiving, and it's a home game. Their last game's not even on the road. It's a home game. Jeez. So I think and it's against a team that's playing to be bowl eligible in Temple. Shout out to Casey Keeler, by the way, who's done a fantastic job with Temple, turning them around. But he's turned Evan Simon into a quarterback that was more talented than what I expected him to be. No disrespect to Evan, but they've looked fantastic. Jay Ducker's looked really good there too with him. But yeah, it's just the timing of it is so bizarre. And you mentioned, what Auburn is able to do with Summerall. I mean, if that's the case and that's what's happening, what were your thoughts about that kind of rumor that he was about to go to Florida and then he posted on Twitter?
I think that was. I think that was his agent using Florida as leverage, or they scheduled that and Auburn said, back that ish up. Like, cut that out.
Then you're not in your head. Do you kind of feel the same in that regard?
Yeah. I mean, it's all leverage, right? Because like, what did they say? They're like, oh, Lane Kiffin's definitely going to LSU. And then it's not definitive yet. You know what I mean?
He hasn't signed anything yet.
Right. So it's like, we're living in this world of people releasing things and saying it's a done deal. And then like a few hours after it's a done deal, it's like, oh, he's making his decision next weekend. And you're like, wait, but you just said he made his decision a week ahead of time. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a gentleman's way to leave a team and join another one. You do not. Okay. I'm an Italian Hispanic kid. Okay. You finish your food before you go and have dessert. And so with Eric Morris, it's like in the middle of his meal, he's screaming, Mom, I want ice cream. So like, I don't agree with this, whether it's Eric Morris or anybody, because it's not the gentleman's thing to do. You don't take a team like that's what I was saying to Thomas. Oklahoma State has nothing to lose. Oklahoma State's like, we suck. Our season's over. Everyone's beating the hell out of us like a piñata. Like, what's the point? But here's North Texas that has one loss. They have the opportunity to play for an American title. They don't have an American title. So it's like you get an American title. Maybe you go to the college football playoff. Like you have all this stuff ahead of you. This is arguably the greatest season in North Texas football history. And he says a few weeks early, yeah, I'm gone. And it's like, shame on that. Shame on Oklahoma State. Shame on the decision making. Like, this is not a gentleman's thing to do. You finish before you go. And to leave North Texas at a time where you have this golden opportunity to go to a school early that you have to drag out of the dungeon, like, I can't help but think Eric Morris is going to regret that.
It's just bad juju,
well,
like whatever you want to call it, right?
Kind of to reemphasize my point on that, like what's like you're saying that he has to pull Oklahoma State out of the dungeon, right? What is 2 extra weeks going to do of you being announced? Especially where you could still be preparing for the championship game, even if they announce it at the end of this week, you can still prepare for that conference championship game and then a playoff run if you make it.
Right.
Instead of announcing. Yeah.
What if he never goes? What if he never wins a championship in the Big 12 with Oklahoma State and he never goes to the college football playoff and this was his only shot?
That can happen, man. That happens a lot more than people realize.
Like,
sometimes
I just
the
don't.
grass
I don't.
isn't always greener.
And the thing about it is, like, nobody was talking about Eric Morris last year. Like, nobody was bringing up North Texas. They came out of the basement. Them in East Carolina came out of the dungeon of the American and rose up. So think about the irony of going, I brought this team out of a dungeon and we are spitting fire like a dragon. And now I'm going to go back to the dungeon and I'm going to leave the dragon.
Right. Doesn't make sense. I mean, ECU's
I do have a Game of Thrones analogy that is funny yet dirty, and I didn't make it, but I really want to.
how dirty are we talking? If it's PG-13, we can let it run.
So I dated a girl years ago. So during COVID, right? So I had never seen Game of Thrones. And it was the beginning of COVID. And I was like, man, I have hidden from this. And I do an entertainment show and I go to Comic-Cons and stuff. And I still hid from it. All I knew was winter is coming and the name Jon Snow. But I didn't know anything about anything. It didn't make any sense to me. Yeah. So I watch it. So when everybody's like, what am I going to do trapped in my house? I had like 3 months of watching the show because I just like piecemealed it. And the girl that I was dating at the time, I was like, man, I was like, Daenerys is awesome. And she was like, of course you think Daenerys is awesome, just like every guy, because she's naked all the time and you just like staring at her body. And I looked at my girlfriend and I go, do you know how many naked women, including you, that I've seen? Do you want to know why I stare at her? Not because she's naked, because I can see you naked anytime. It's because she's the only woman in my life that's ever talked to a dragon and it worked.
I love it. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, my friend.
So Team Daenerys forever. So yeah,
it was incredible.
I love that.
She's the best.
I was in the same boat as you when COVID. That's when I first started watching Game of Thrones. Was during COVID.
Still haven't watched it all the way through.
Oh my
really?
gosh. Yeah. So they say the last season is the worst, and that's not true. It's the last 2 episodes. The plot holes are insane. It'll make you angry. But Shane, as good of a human being as you are, you're going to make 2 lists when you watch Game of Thrones. Okay. You're going to make your team.
Yeah.
Of like who you want to make it to the end, your squad.
Okay. Yeah.
And you're going to make a kill list.
Joffrey is number 1 on that kill list.
Joffrey is always number 1.
I know that that comes to fruition. Spoiler alert for anyone who else is like me and hasn't seen as far as I have.
I was right about who killed him, and that moment of when that person lets people know that they did it is such a gangster moment.
Beautiful, yeah.
It's
okay. Don't tell me because I don't think I remember if I have seen it.
It's so good, but there's multiple people, and there's one person that's on everybody's kill list that like dies in a way where like it's not fair. Like they're so bad, but then they like get to die quickly, and you're like, nobody that's bad on this show should die quickly. So like it's it's the Italian in me that like I tell people, I go, I got heated this week about some of the stuff, and I go, the Sebastian Maniscalco comes out of me when I get heated. I start going, can you believe it? Like I can't help myself. It just comes right out of me. But
that's freaking great. Oh my God.
It's like Tulsa King, which you should all watch.
What was that?
It's like Tulsa King.
Tulsa King.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, Dan Villari and I tonight were talking about Tulsa King.
Really? Shout out to Dan Villari too. He's Syracuse. I mean, if there's one thing I feel bad about is guys like him on the offensive side, because he was a guy who was getting slept on from scouts' perspectives. Started going on a bender with Angelia quarterback looking fantastic, and now with the ineptitude of the offense, he might be a guy that hopefully doesn't slip through, because I think he could be a pretty good tight end at the next level. Shane, before we get, I wanted to ask you too, how do you feel about Deuce Knight's performance? I mean, I know Auburn played Mercer, but I mean, you have to like what you see with him finally getting some action, right?
I don't know if you saw my tweet.
I did not. No, I was not on Twitter much. No.
During the game, I tweeted somewhere along the lines, and what in the actual hell was Hugh Freeze doing all year?
Yeah.
How was he starting QB3 for 9 freaking games? And I want to say it was Nathan King, who's another Auburn reporter, that tweeted, fire Hugh again for cause. Because
it was bad.
Like, he was special. And I know it's Mercer, but like, you saw the traits.
Yeah.
And everyone has talked about all season long and all off season, like how good of a passer he was. His first 4 touchdowns in his career were rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
And he ran like a flippin' gazelle.
Yeah, he looked explosive.
Like, was gliding effortlessly through the defense. It was beautiful. And like a couple former Auburn players that I follow were like, man, you kind of got to just throw 9 in there and see what happens with the Iron Bowl this week. And I'm like, I don't hate it, but let's stick with Ashton and throw in some Deuce here and there.
Once again, yeah.
Just because the whole reason that you don't play Ashton in that game is to save him for the Iron Bowl and to redshirt him. Right. So it doesn't make sense to not start him, I think. Right. But I don't, man. Deuce proved, I think he proved why he's the future. He at least didn't prove why he's not the future.
Yeah, the Deuce got loose, man.
Yeah, he did.
He looked great. I mean, they looked better than the unfortunate amount of freshmen and whatnot at Syracuse that have not looked great. Nothing against them. I mean, I think a lot of that's coaching related, to be honest. But I mean, if you're an Auburn fan, you have to be excited. I mean, obviously, we don't expect them to play in the Iron Bowl. I do want to ask both of you before we kind of get out of here, because it is getting a little bit at that time. Do you think Auburn has a chance to upset in the Iron Bowl? I mean, it's an unrealistic question probably at this point, but Shane, I'm gonna start with you.
I was gonna let Dan go first.
No, we're gonna I'll say it's a Tora for the end there.
Yeah, I do. The biggest concern for me is is Alabama's passing game versus our secondary. That's going to be a big mismatch in their favor. But Auburn's running game against their run defense is something that is encouraging. And Alabama, like I knew it too. I even joked when I was Ubering last week. I was like, Alabama is going to go and run for like 300 yards against Eastern Illinois, just because the committee mentioned something. And I think they ran for 284 and 8 touchdowns, all rushing. Yeah. So I was like, of course they did. But it's Eastern Illinois. Like, you're not going to be able to do that against Auburn. And if Auburn knows that you're passing and Keldrick Falk can pin his ears back, Kieran Crawford can pin his ears back, you throw in some Jared Smith, who, God, I want to see that kid play more. And then Xavier Atkins too. Like, Xavier Atkins, I think, is leading the team in sacks, and then it's Kieran Crawford, because teams are usually double teaming the first round draft pick and Keldrick Falk. And so I think if Auburn is able to slow the run game down enough to where they know Alabama is passing, then they can scheme for that better and be ready for it. So it's a Jordan Hare night game. The voodoo is going to be there. I think the upset's possible.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, a lot of people are giving Ty Simpson crap now after his poor passing performance this past week at the 2 picks too. Dan, I'm gonna ask you: do you think it's possible Alabama sees himself slip up against a rival in the Iron Bowl?
Well, Alabama had 13 players run the ball against Eastern Illinois.
Yeah.
And they won 56-0 in that game. Now, Alabama, I'm going to play the Notre Dame garbage thing. Well, they lost a long time ago. Okay. So Alabama lost to Florida State in week 1. Mm-hmm. And then they went on to beat at Georgia. They beat Vanderbilt. They beat Missouri on the road, who I don't think is a really good team. They beat Tennessee. They beat South Carolina on the road, who likes to play spoiler. And, then I'll go back to the Notre Dame argument of almost beating somebody. Oklahoma almost lost to Alabama by 2 points. And now here we are at Auburn. So do I think Alabama is going to win this game? Yes, but there are 3 names in the current SEC that I'm concerned about, especially even looking at last season, because one of these names I think knocked out 2, if not 3 teams. And those 3 names in the SEC that play spoiler in the last couple of years are Auburn, Kentucky, and South Carolina. So South Carolina tried to do it to Texas A&M. They did it last year to multiple teams. And, Kentucky has tried to do it. They tried to do it to Georgia when they played a baseball game last year, and they lost 13-12. So I think that, listen, this is a great game. It's a great matchup. And talking to fans, like, This is Alabama. This is everything about the state of Alabama.
This is the whole state.
Yeah.
So it's literally like you're on one side or the other, or like that's it. Yeah. It's like you have to pick. If you live in Alabama, you are either a Tiger or you roll Tide. You can't do anything else in that state. And so do I think that this game can be interesting at a certain point? Yes. Do I think that there might be some excitement on the side of the underdog, maybe in like the second quarter? Yes. But I ultimately think Alabama is going to win this game. And I think they'll gut it out. I think they'll find a way. So I'm going to lean on Alabama. But I do think there will be a moment or two that Shane will be excited.
How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel comfortable at least, Shane? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, it's like it's the Iron Bowl. You can't records don't matter in this game usually. Like the one time it did was it was 2012 and Alabama smoked Auburn 49-0. But that was Gene Chizik was a dead man walking, I think, at that point. And I don't know. I think I think what encourages me is this is the year that, especially out of the last 5, this is the year that the talent gap is the closest.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sucks for Auburn because their record doesn't show it because of how inept Hugh Freeze was at calling plays for him. Because that defense was playing lights out forever. But Shane, before I running late, I know Shane actually canceled a date night or had I
rescheduled it.
He rescheduled date
night. You rescheduled date night. Whose baby can I hear in the background? Whose child is that?
It's probably mine. I've got 4 kids.
Shane's like, I got kids somewhere in the house.
They're somewhere.
Shane, this is what I can tell you. Your child is smarter than 2 fan bases that for the last 4 weeks have written me messages on social media and also have licked all of the outlets that they have in their house. So, I mean, listen, I have nothing against any of the team. It's just it's like factual evidence. That's all it is. It's stating facts. Like I have no problem with anybody, at all. I'm just looking at this and I'm going, if I'm on the committee, these are the questions I would ask the other 11 or 12 people in the room. I would say, this is what I see. What do you think? And if somebody tells me that somebody passes an eye test, then I mean, I don't really know what that means. And nobody really knows what that means at this point. I think everybody passes the eye test when you're drunk at a bar in the morning and it's very late. Are you taking home the best gal? Or are you taking home the one that through the fuzz of your eyes looks presentable? I mean, that's, I think Notre Dame is a tough team. I think they're a good team. I think they have a lot of talent. They might have the best running back in the country. But the SEC is really friggin' good, and they have an argument to take half of the seeds this year.
God, that's crazy.
I love the analogy, by the way. That was great.
There's more to it. I said everybody passes the eye test when you're knee deep into vodka and scotch, and it's 2:00 and the lights are off in the bar. And somebody said, Dan, it sounds like you've had experience. I've never been drunk, so. I'm just talking about how I see it, because when somebody says something to me that sounds like it's under the influence, then, we have a conversation. By the way, Ashton Daniels, who I got to talk to when he was at Stanford, and I got to build a relationship with him, and we talked about God and all this stuff. I just want to say to you, Shane, I absolutely love that you have him, and I hope that he is everything and more that your team and the fans can dream of, because I wanted to see him win and I wanted to see him get a shot to show who he was. So from my heart to you and all the Auburn fans, I'm so happy that we've gotten to see him. And he balled. I mean, he gave Vanderbilt everything they could friggin' handle this year. So I just want to give a shout out to Ashton Daniels, and I wanted to do it when you could hear it.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. He's awesome. And I think that's a big reason why they pushed to keep the red shirt, was to keep him in the locker room, because he's been that impactful.
Yeah, it's been massive, especially considering he's had to play with the ineptitude of his coach, which is unfortunate. But Shane, before I guess you out of here, man, let everybody know where they can find you out on your social media.
You guys can find me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at FFShaneB. I may change that here in the minute and just say fighting John Sommerals, but who knows? But that's it, War Eagle, and y'all have a good night.
Thanks. I appreciate you, Shane. That is Shane Murray. You can find him at FFShaneB on X/Twitter. Oh, it didn't change over. There we go. Okay. It was supposed to do that automatically. It didn't do it. I don't know why. Dan, before I get you out of here, though, I wanted to quickly ask you about some Syracuse football because we didn't really get to talk about it. Obviously, Notre Dame loss was pretty embarrassing. Yeah. Now they face, two bottom basement dwellers, I guess we'll call it, Boston College, coming to the Dome this week. What do you think the morale level is at with Syracuse going into this game? I mean, obviously some of the seniors still have stuff to play for, and there's talk Easton Willis and a couple of, Darryl Gill's going to be back, supposedly, that they've said. How much motivation do you think these guys have to play?
Well, the one thing I was happy to hear is from Dan Villari when he said this is a rivalry game, because I consider it a rivalry game.
Right.
Because Northeast football used to be alive and well, and there used to be a conference that, identified these Northeast schools and put them together. And so I like that I'm hearing that. I like that there's weight to it. Listen, Boston, when you just heard what Shane said and talk about rivalries, I want to throw the fact that BC is the worst team in the ACC and Syracuse is the second worst. Like, if Syracuse loses, they become the worst team. If they win, then Boston College stays the worst team. But this is the toilet bowl of the ACC this year. This is 16 versus 17, Syracuse versus BC. But if anybody thinks that BC is not going to come here and try to beat the heck out of Syracuse, like, you're nuts. Like, this is a game where you would think that you're playing like 9-2 versus 10-1, and right. If Syracuse isn't careful, they'll put 30 up on them. Like, BC is going to make this a dogfight. They're going to be physical. They're going to be rough. They got a coach in Bill O'Brien. There's good things to say about this Boston College team, despite the record, knowing how they're going to come in. But I mean, the morale of this team, I told you in the North Carolina game, I said, if this is how they're going to play football, then they should respect their opponents and just say, we're not going to waste your 3 hours. And we're not, the way that they've been playing, and I'm never for anybody quitting. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like, if you're not like, if I was the coach, if I'm Fran, if I go, if that's you're going to put on the field, then why are we here?
Right.
And so, I told you this recently. There's a lack of leadership.
Yeah.
There's a lack of leadership. There's a lack of cohesion. There's a lack of direction. Honestly, and I mean no disrespect to Fran when I say this, if Syracuse wins this weekend, they didn't do it for him. They're doing it for each other at this point. Because I don't think Fran, he has the words in public, but I don't think that he's been the leader that he sounds like he is when he speaks well in front of the camera. Like, what do they always say? Adversity shows you who someone is. Like, everybody looks good when the lights are bright and everyone's got the right makeup on and the right dress and the right suit. But when things aren't going well and your clothes are tattered and your teeth aren't brushed and you got scars on your face and you're living under a bridge, would somebody still listen to your words? Right. And I think what we're finding right now is when the going got tough, this team had no leadership. And that's got to be on the head man. And I'm not here to dog Fran. I'm not here to be mean to him. If he was sitting with me and he would say, what do you honestly think? I'd be like, Fran, what do you like? I don't see the leadership. Like, is there something where you think you can get better? Like, if he hired me to be somebody who assess the team and I'm like an outside whatever, and I come in to like audit the season, so to speak, and take a look at everything, I would sit them down and be like, what do you think that we need to do to adjust the message? Or what, like, I want to see Syracuse win. I want to see Fran be successful. I want to see Elijah Robinson and, Ricky Brumfield and Jeff Nixon, all the coordinators and all the assistants. I want to see Nuns be successful. Like, I want to see these guys go out here and have fun. I want Dan Villari to have a good walk. I want, Yasin Willis to have a high note. I want Will Nixon, who can come back next year. I want him to have an opportunity to be excited. I want the fans to see something good, but there's been a lot of questionable moments. Wasting Luke Carney for a random drive here and a random drive. Like, you could have played him the whole game against Boston College. And I thought he was going to hold him. And he was literally like, he was going to tell Syracuse, like, our promo is come see the guy you wanted to see. We're going to play Luke Carney the whole game. And like, fans would show up to see Luke Carney. But I mean, this is insane and it's crazy. And it doesn't make, like, the decisions that Fran has made and like the dissension that I sense in the coaching staff and just everything about the environment is like, there's no leadership. And it breaks my heart because there are so many great people in this organization and it just makes me sick. And I think next year is going to show us who Fran is and who he's not, because you saw a good season with a good quarterback and relative health and an easy schedule. Now you've seen a bad season with injuries and losing your start. But, you know, you can't say Steve Angeli is the reason why you haven't won in almost 2 months.
No.
You can't say that anymore. No. And if you look at the tackle attempts of Syracuse versus Notre Dame, it looked like a bunch of people that were stunt doubles trying to like look like they were. It looked like WWE. It was like, I'm going to jump when he comes by, so it looks like I'm tackling him, but I'm not putting my body on the line for this crap season. So like, I'm disheartened by what I feel, but I'm hopeful that from the ashes of this season, Fran and his staff will become the best coaches they've ever been.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm going to wait and see mode myself because, like you said, great first year, obviously with Kyle and Arande and a lot of great guys, Justin, Marlon, Marlo. Now this year, obviously, Angeli looked great, and then he gets hurt, and then you can't. I mean, as bad as Ricky's looked, as bad as Joe's looked. I mean, at some point, that's on the coaching. The coaching not having those guys prepared, not letting Luke Carney throw a pass is asinine to me, to be quite frank. I try to use a better word, but that's just how I feel about it. I thought they were going to keep his redshirt for this Boston College game too. Not to mention if you're Rich Bellin or I mean, I know man, I'm gonna blank on the other kid's name now. I'm gonna feel so terrible. But
Jakari?
Jakari's been in a sling, so I know why he hasn't been playing. But if you're Rich, you're looking like, hey, I mean, now they just made him the number 2 now. And if you're him, you're like, what? Why was I passed up for the walk-on? For nothing against Joe Filardi at all, but why was I passed up for the walk-on freshman from who was playing lacrosse when I'm here? You guys brought me in, and I played the sport full time. If I'm him, I'm kind of looking a little side-eye at Fran maybe. And just the defensive efforts have been so poor. I mean, Deuce Chestnut, shout out to him. I know he's really been trying to rally guys, and it doesn't always work. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can only, like you said, you can only look at Angeli's injury as an excuse for why the season derailed for so long. Okay, 3 wins, 4 wins, whatever, and that's when he made the switch from Ricky. So he even Fran knows that, and Fran's heart of hearts, he knows that too. So it's just a question of whether he's going to address it externally, internally, the right way, because I don't think that coaching carousal that we saw and we've talked about in previous shows, I don't think that was necessarily the right way to go about it. No. But maybe he does something different and maybe reflects inward. I don't know. I mean, they've lost some recruits, but that could be also Fran, probably heavily utilizing the transfer portal this upcoming year. He hasn't, he's still kept some of the big guys that he needs to keep. I'm still in on Fran, but I do have concerns now. I mean, is that kind of like where you are with things too?
Yeah. I mean, again, adversity shows you who you are. When you are tested, that is when you show if you have composure, you show your character, you show your decision-making under duress. It is so easy to make decisions when you're having a Mai Tai on a beach and the sun's out and it's 85 degrees. It's really hard to make that same tight. It's really hard to make a decision with that comfort and that peace when it's 13 degrees outside and, you just drove into a snowbank because your car skidded and nothing seems to be going right that day. And, so, I mean, they've gone from bad to worse. They've gone from people feel bad for them to now people are like, why should I even now I feel bad for myself for watching. Like that's what you kind of hear from the fans is like, I feel bad that Steve's gone. Let's see what the next guy does. And now it's like, I'm not going to watch 3 hours of terrible football and piss myself off. So, it's like I said to my dad, I'm like, I feel like the only selling point is Luke Carney, which they can't do now. And my dad's response, who's been a fan his whole life, he goes, nobody's going to that dome. And, and it's so crazy. But I talked to Rob Conrad about it today, and I was like, Rob, what Syracuse was last year happens once or twice in 20 years. What they are this year happens almost every year. And so it's like my dad told me a long time ago, you are who you are most of the time. So if you look good for 3 months and bad for 10, who are you? And, I just feel like Syracuse, I mean, listen, you don't hear, Fran has not said that I hear. Fran has not said the word dart in like 5 weeks or 6 weeks to the media.
I've noticed that.
He hasn't said. Now, when I talked to him about it like 2-3 weeks in, he said they were half of it. But if you realize, and from all those press conferences I've sat in, you sat in, he has not said the word dart in multiple weeks.
Yeah.
Because they're not detailed, they're not accountable, they're not relentless, and they're not tough. And I found it interesting how things were worded by him in the press conference going into this game. I didn't like what I heard, and I didn't like how it was said. So it's because I kind of like sat back and I said, okay, here's all the questions I asked them. Here's what everybody else asked them. And then I thought about like, what did I get from this? And I was like, I got a lot of fluff. Like I got a lot of just, what are we going to do? Like, it's like, you guys, when you see us this weekend and next year, you're going to know. And I'm like, I don't think you guys are going to look great this week. Like, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a lack of leadership and it's adversity. Okay. Like, I feel like I'm in a trench. And when I was in a trench last year with Fran, I thought when the bomb goes off right in front of the trench, he's got me, he grabs me, he's covering me, we're running together, we're shooting, and it's 2 of us against the world. We're going to take everybody down. This year, I feel like the bomb dropped and he ran in one direction and I was there by myself. Like that's what the team feels like right now. It feels like, oh my gosh, all hell broke loose. Well, guess the season's over. And this arguably is the worst debacle in Syracuse football history. There was the year where they beat Clemson, and my the girl I was with at the time, she goes, how many more games do they have to get to to go to a bowl? I was like, they only need 2. She's like, how many weeks are left? I go, 5. She goes, oh my gosh, it's a done deal. It's a definite. I go, you don't understand. This is Syracuse. They could lose the next 5 weeks, and they did. So like, and they went 4-8 in the year that they beat Clemson, when Clemson was coming off a national championship, and they were 2 in the country when they came to the Dome. So, there's just a lack of leadership and there's a lack of direction. And I find it very interesting that all of Fran's buzzwords, dart and CCT, he hasn't said them in weeks. And I don't know if other people paid attention to that.
Yeah, that's actually a great catch because I've been noticing that too. And I'm kind of just like, not great turning in the season just because you lost Angeli. Like, I get Angeli looked good, but how many times have we seen a quarterback, even on some of these great SEC teams? I mean, we saw Ole Miss handle their quarterback situation, and they didn't really miss a beat. I mean, Delaware, shout out Ryan Carty and his crew. They lost their starter. They had the backup, and he was leading Conference USA. I mean, I know it's different talent, but you know what I mean? Just having a backup, a significant backup plan in place to where you just don't look clueless after you lose your guy. And I think his messaging has been bad too. Like, he had the guys running on those wind sprints after was it the UConn game? I can't remember if it was the UConn game or the Colgate game. It was very earlier in the year, but yeah, UConn, and that disappeared after that happened. I don't know if it's because it went viral, maybe, who knows, but like, we didn't see any type of accountability out, and they won that game. So I mean, there was no accountability when Colgate ended up making that more of a game than it should. I mean, obviously they still got beat pretty bad, but Colgate was playing them tough. There was no accountability really there. It was okay, we're happy we got the win, but you played Colgate. You know what I mean? We haven't really seen too much of that accountability really take step after the Angeli injury. And that goes to the coaching staff. I know more of the players are taking accountability than the coaching staff is right now, in my opinion. And I think that's a bad precedent to set, especially if you're a guy like Fran, who is, I know he wants to protect the players. I genuinely do understand that. But at some point, there has to be accountability. If you're just going to say, oh, it's me, and then kind of brush everything off and not give anybody answers to anything, you're not doing yourself any favors. And people are they're going to start looking at you as a flash in the pan rather than something that can be, have longevity going forward. And I think with Syracuse, it's kind of in a rough spot. Next year could be different. I believe, but I'm, cautiously optimistic, I guess is the word I'll use.
Yeah. I mean, starting a press conference off saying, blame me, blame only me, blame Fran. Yeah. And then ending a press conference by saying, this team will get better if they all start to act more like Fran Brown. Like,
I didn't know he said that. Was that Monday's presser?
Yeah, it was Monday. Like, he ended it by talking about, once these people start, acting more like essentially like more like him and more like than that. And I was like, what? Like, I mean, it's just, and I don't like when people talk about themselves in third person. It's weird to me. So,
right.
But it's just a very, I don't know. It was unsettling to me. Yeah. And it's, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. I really don't. Like, there's no leadership. There's none. I mean, I keep coming back to the same word, but there's none. And I think if the players win this weekend, they're going to do it with or without Fran. And I think that's what it's going to be. By the way, like, why in the blank did you pass every quarterback for a lacrosse player? And it's no offense to Joe Filardi, but you passed. By the way, if I'm Gary Gate right now, I'd be calling up Fran, screaming at him, going like, you're going to get my dude killed before the season. Like, guys getting sacked like 100 times a game. But I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, why in the hell have you not just shifted to Valari and just ran power and just, used him and Yasin and Will Nixon? Like, why haven't you just gone to your quarterback, tight end, running back and understood that, like, I mean, if he does that against Boston College, you're playing Boston College's game against them. You're gonna run down their throat and you're gonna play tough defense and you're gonna literally just force them inch by inch, yard by yard down the field. Like, you have nothing to lose. You want to honor your senior, put Dan Valari under center, because this is awful. Like, Joe Filardi completes as many passes as Syracuse basketball makes free throws. And and I'm not trying to, I like Joe Filardi. I like him a lot. I do. I like him as a human being. You want to talk about the eye test? I mean, you watch, there's people that they say, who's the quarterback this week? Joe Filardi. Like, I'm not watching this game. Like, because it's, what are you doing? Like, you brought in Steve Angeli. And what did I tell you? What did I tell you in the spring when he said, Ricky's our guy? And now look at what we've seen. I said, so what he might have been saying at that time was, Ricky is the best of the bad decisions that I can make.
Right.
He is like, here's Steve. And I mean, no offense to anybody. I'm not trying to say this. I'm looking at the games themselves. Here's Steve. Here is everybody else that's played.
Yeah.
And I don't put Luke here because they don't let him throw the damn ball. But there's such a massive drop in gap. Like, Jalen Hurts goes down, Tua comes in, they fight for a national championship. They go, well, Dan, that's Alabama. Okay, he was at Georgia. If you tout yourself as the best recruiter in the country, then are you holding yourself accountable for not recruiting the right quarterbacks?
Right.
And again, I'm not trying to knock, but we see flash and, and this and that and like shiny and good and all day. nobody's getting up for these games. Like nobody's getting excited for these games. I'm so happy that my show is a pregame show on Saturday, because if it was postgame, I would need security. Like it's this is not team football. It's nonsensical, and I don't want to hear. I want to hear real stuff. I want to hear substance. I want to hear like what's like he said, well, the offense is going to change next year because we can't just do one thing. Why the hell didn't you change that during the season? You can't sit down with Jeff Nixon and go, this shit ain't working. Pardon my French, and say like, we're 5 weeks in, this shit ain't working. We look stupid. Yeah. Like Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame beat Syracuse lost worse than the Citadel this season. Samford, Eastern Illinois. Yeah. Like Syracuse was the worst cupcake of the entire season. They got blown out more than any team in America. And they're in one of the top 4 conferences. There are Furman looked better against Clemson than Syracuse looked against Notre Dame. And it's like, again, I'm not sitting here to witch hunt. I'm not sitting here to dog Fran. I'm not sitting here to disrespect. I have a great relationship with Fran. If I was sitting with Fran right now, I would look in his eyes and go, this shit ain't working. Like, I mean, it's not working, Fran. Like the buzzwords don't work. Steve Angeli I think even Steve Angeli, with everything that he is not going to sit there and go, yeah, this shit's all my fault. Like this is not on him.
Right.
And this is on who you recruited. This might be on conditioning. This might be on nutrition. This might be on want to. This might be on desire. This might be on care. This might be on coaching. This might be on scheming. But it sure as hell is not Steve Angeli's fault that you have looked like anything but a football team in almost 2 calendar months.
Yeah.
Like,
it's been embarrassing.
You and I watch a lot of football, and we watch national football. What they did against Notre Dame was a complete waste of time. Notre Dame was up 28-0 less than 9 minutes into the game. It was 49-0 at halftime. And then Notre Dame came out in the second half after whatever Fran said in the locker room, and they scored in 37 seconds.
Yeah, that was so I stopped watching. I couldn't.
And I'm not trying to be negative. Like, I'm trying to be constructive. I'm trying to be real. Like,
right.
I'm trying to say like what's going on. I just like this is not college football. This is not Division 1A football. And I just feel like the players have checked out. I don't think they're untalented. I don't think they suck. I don't think they hate each other. If you ask me to write on a sheet of paper who I think is not going to be here, staff and player next year, I don't think people are going to like my list.
I think it's hard. I don't think the retention is going to be as high as a lot of people think it's going to be. That Fran kind of echoes it's going to be. I mean, man, at some point you have to look in the mirror and just admit you were wrong and just make a change. The offense, I talked to you about this before. I thought the offense was going to look different after their first bye. It looked exactly the same. They didn't even change any of the concepts, and they're running it with completely different guys under center. You can't do that. If you're a coach, if you're a good coach, you can change that. You have a plan B. If you have no plan B, if your plan B is somebody that you can't have fit your system and you can't adapt to them, what kind of plan do you have as a coach? It's embarrassing at this point, and it stinks because there's a lot of really good players on that team who are Darryl Gill had his breakout season just abruptly ended. He was mossing guys for the first 4 weeks of the season. He looked fantastic. Dan Villari, I mentioned him earlier in the show, looked fantastic. Yesen Willis looked really good when Steve was in there. Nixon as well. There's a lot of guys who looked really good, and just seeing how it's fallen off, it's not fair to the players. It's not fair to the fans. And, as much as I do like Fran, the apologies and the blame it on me, at some point, those are just going to fall on deaf ears, and you're going to be talking to yourself sooner than later. So I'm hoping that it's different. This week is, I don't even know if a win this week necessarily matters, except for the players' pride at this point. I think Fran is completely checked out.
Well, and the thing is too, like, I hope NFL teams go back and watch the film, and when they're assessing Valari and Jonte Cook and all, I hope they look and they go, oh, he was open. Oh, he was open. Oh, he was open.
Right.
Oh, he was open. Oh, he ran a good route. Oh, he ran a good route. And that's the thing. It's like, if Jonte is open and you don't get him the ball, then how's that? And remember what Fran said a few weeks ago? Remember what he said after one of the games when he was like it's on the receivers in the field. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, like, he said it's on the receivers in the field that, like, if that quarterback can't make that throw, it's on them to come back to the ball and, like, help him.
Right.
You're a Division 1A FBS quarterback, okay? Yeah. If I run a route and you can't hit me, why are you here?
Yeah.
Like what are we talking? So you want Jonte Cook to run a route. You want him to go straight down the left sideline, 20 yards. You want him to cut inside and get hit over the middle. And when he sees that the guy under center is always under duress, the offensive line isn't blocking for him, and he can't get the ball 15 yards plus down the field, you want Jonte to run 20, then cut for 5, then come back 10 to help you on every play?
That's insane.
And then you fire the guy that's overseeing the receivers that no one can get the ball to.
That was insane.
And then you demote Nunzio Campanelli. Folks, it's a demotion.
Yeah.
It's a demotion. And what did he say? He said, if Steve Angeli's still the quarterback, Nunzio Campanelli's probably still the quarterback's coach. So let me get this straight. Because and he said this out loud, because Steve Angeli got hurt, you now think that Nunzio Campanelli can't coach the lack of a stable of quarterbacks that you have.
Right.
And then Jeff Nixon's running an offense where Luke Carney's not allowed to pass the ball. So, like, what is happening? There's no adjustment. Like, is this ego? Is this Fran's ego versus this guy's ego versus that guy's ego? Is that why this guy got fired? Is that why this guy got demoted? Did something happen that we don't know, where it's like somebody said something and stuck up for something and then all these things transpired? I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing like everybody else is, but how do you fire? And I'm telling you this right now. Okay? I'm telling you this right now from my heart. If Nunzio Campanelli is here next year, I will be shocked, and it will be purely because of his heart and because he loves this place and he feels some type of connection, or he has unfinished business. But if I'm Nunzio Campanelli, I am out of this place. I want the best for Nunzio Campanelli, and people know this about me. Like, if you're in my hometown, not in my hometown, I want the best for you. Like, if there's a recruit and he chooses Syracuse or he chooses somebody else, Riley Leonard, perfect example. Duke and Syracuse chose Duke. We kept in touch, and then here we are hugging each other at the national championship earlier this year when they played in the title game for Notre Dame. So if I'm Nunzio Campanelli, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Either I'm working with my brother Anthony with the Jags, or I'm going somewhere else in the NFL, or I'm going to another team. Nunzio Campanelli, if I'm sitting with him right now, I would say leave this place because they demoted you and they shit on a good name. And so I'm going to be real about that. Nunzio Campanelli did not deserve the disrespect, and that was disrespect. Okay. And Dan Villari not being under center with all this crap we've seen is disrespect. And I mean, if I was in this locker room right now, I would not be talking to the players about being more like me. I'd be saying, what do you guys think? What do you feel? What are you gauging from this? And like, if you want to yell, yell. But like, we're a family. So let's get it all out. Let's get all the demons out. And let's spray the holy water in the locker room and let's talk to Jesus. But like, this is not a team right now that's fighting for anything. This is not a team that has a core nucleus that they're building around. Because if Steve is still here, which he is, and and he has a relationship with everybody, like then he's the cohesion, right? We're going to go out and we're going to win for Steve. But there's not cohesion. And I'm not sold that anybody's going to be here next year, whether they said it publicly or they didn't say it publicly. I'm not sure about any of this stuff. What I am sure about is that Nunzio Campanelli, for the own respect of his name, should not be here next year. Not because I don't want him here for my city, not because I don't want to see the fruits of his labor in Syracuse, in a place that I love dearly, but because you shit on a good man. And when you shit on a good man, he doesn't need to come back to that house. I don't go into homes where I'm not appreciated or respected. If you don't care about me, I'll pray for you, but I don't need to be in your house. I'm not sleeping next to the enemy. And if I'm Nunzio Campanelli, what was done to me this season was I had Steve, and I was making Steve go out there and do his thing, just like McCord went out there and did his thing. And then you demote me when you give me hot garbage.
Right.
And now it's my fault. Okay? Like, it's more Jeff Nixon's fault than it is anybody under him. It's more Elijah Robinson than it is anybody under him. And I'm not saying fire these guys. I'm saying hold them accountable. Your defense doesn't tackle. Their defense was not tackling properly in technique in week 1 against Tennessee, and then they didn't tackle at all against Notre Dame. So when your team was bad in the first week and they've gotten no better at that specific thing, what are we doing? Like, you have to show improve. You know how many teams have been through adversity, been through injuries, been through heartache, been through whatever's going on? Look at Penn State.
Yeah.
Penn State has their head coach fired less than a year of making the college football playoff for the first time ever and winning a game, and it's James Franklin's 100th win. I was there, okay? You lose your quarterback. How about Penn State? You lose your starting quarterback, and then Nebraska comes into town. You beat the pants off Nebraska, who's been ranked this year, whose coach was allegedly up for your job.
Yeah.
And what did the players do at the end of the game? They held up signs that said, "Hire Terry." And what did Terry say at the end of that game? What did he say live on the field to the media? He said, "This is my team. They listen to me." I was like, man, I play for you, Terry. Like, think about that. Think about all the crap that Penn State's been through, the fall from grace that they have had, arguably the worst season they've had in 20 or 30 years. And they're winning. They're playing well. You wouldn't know that they're at a backup quarterback. You wouldn't know that they had an interim head coach if you watched the game. And to the fans, the fans showed up. The place, you would have thought that this team was fighting for a championship and a place in the college football playoff. So you got Penn State killing for their interim head coach, and you got Syracuse that refuses to do anything that looks like football for 7 weeks.
It's embarrassing.
So what are we saying? Yeah. We're saying that Penn State going through hell and firing their coach and losing their quarterback, they're a better team now. And Syracuse losing their quarterback and keeping their head coach is a shell of itself. Like, at what point does anybody sit here and tell me that the interim coach at Penn State is not a better head coach than Fran Brown right now?
Yeah, that's a hard thing to argue at this point. I mean, just looking at the way the teams have come out, I mean, Penn State's just even looked more prepared in general than Syracuse has on both sides of the ball. It's really embarrassing. But then I didn't even realize we're about to hit the next top of the hour. Before I let you out of here, brother, what do you have any messages to the fans? I mean, I know it's been an awful season for Syracuse fans. I mean, good start, and then it's just been kind of same old, maybe a little too much, but just very the high of beating Clemson, and then now we're at probably one of the lowest points of Syracuse football, at least definitely under Fran Brown era. So what kind of message do you have to any fans out there still trying to root for the team?
Well, the irony of beating Clemson in a season where they went 4-8 that I mentioned earlier, and then this year beating Clemson in a season where at best you'll be 3-9. It looks like every squirrel gets a nut as opposed to you were good. Yeah. And I said that, I was like, Syracuse that year against Clemson was Appalachian State. They played spoiler. They didn't have a great overall year. And Appalachian State's had some good years, but you get the point. They weren't supposed to win the game.
Right.
My words to the fans is, I know it sucks and I know it's hard, but like, don't attack players, and just don't be evil, and don't wish bad on people. Like I said, like, I'm frustrated and I'm talking about things that I genuinely feel like I've been around for 22 years. And to the people that don't agree with some of the opinions that I take about any sport or anything, that say that I don't deserve to be a broadcaster, how would you like if I stepped into your life and said, you don't deserve to be a father, a husband, a wife, a sister, a brother? You don't deserve to have a house. You don't deserve to be at your job. Like, could you imagine if I went to someone's job, waited for them to make a mistake, and I just like lost my mind and started setting fire to their desk after they screwed up one time because they like mistyped a word? So my words are so hard right now to say, because I love my city and I love the guys on this team, and I know so many of them, and I have relationships that go beyond. Like, Dan Villari and I are literally like big brother, little brother. And so, I mean, Yasin Willis, he told me he's Batman and Will Nixon's Robin when I was interviewing him. So when I saw him last week, I shook his hand and I said, go get him, Batman. You know, like, this entire season is such a horrible thing to see these guys endure. And so what I would say to the fans is, they don't need to be punched in the gut any more than they felt. And we all know what it feels like to have somebody not show up for us. And we also know what it feels like to have those friends and those girlfriends and boyfriends and bosses that only show up when like something good happens in our lives. So, I mean, everyone shows up when you buy a new car, and everybody shows up when you have a baby, and everybody shows up when you're the top salesperson at your job. But how many people show up when, you know, somebody passes away in your family, or you failed a test, or you didn't get the job you wanted, or somebody breaks up with you? Like, I tell people this all the time. When I went through a breakup, the first two people in my family, besides my parents, to show up were the two cousins that people within my family tried to make me hate, and they talked them down and basically said, like, these are the misfit toys of our family. Those were the first two people to come to my house. So I'm going to ask you to be David and Derek in my life, in these kids' lives. I'm going to ask you to show up. I'm going to ask you to be there. I'm going to ask you to cheer and scream like they're fighting for an ACC title game. I want you to remember that some of these kids will never play football for the rest of their lives. And when they do that senior walk, don't you dare let them do that to an empty stadium. So I know you're hurting. I know you're frustrated. I know you're mad. I know Syracuse are mad. Syracuse fans get mad when they win. So what I'll say to you all is, if this is your city, like it's mine, if this is your community and you love being from here and you wear it with a badge of honor and you're proud of it, be about what you say. Come to the Dome. What are the tickets? $5? Cheaper than parking. Come to the Dome. It's cheaper than going to the movies. It's cheaper than going to a restaurant. Come to the Dome. Hang out. Come to my show at noon with Isaac. Let's have fun. Let's have some drinks responsibly. Let's eat some good food at Myers Creek and Syracuse Inner Harbor at noon. Then at 3 o'clock, let's go to the Dome. Let's remember some of these kids are going to hang up the laces for the last time. Let's remember some of these kids are the kids that you're going to cheer when they show Syracuse in the NFL. You cheer for them on the screen, but you didn't cheer for them when they were here. You did that with Tommy DeVito. You booed him. Now when he's on the screen, you lose your mind. But he can't hear that. So make sure that when you cheer for these kids, it's at a time when they're in front of you, when they can hear you. Their families are in the stands. A lot of these families are going to be here because they're going to celebrate this last time with their kid on the field. So show up for the kids, show love. And if this is your city, then join me this Saturday and let's show people that Syracuse in adversity is still Syracuse, because any city looks good when the light's shining and it's bright. But in the darkest hour, I'm asking my city to show up.
That was beautifully said. I could not say it any better. I think that's perfect. I think it's a great point, especially about the seniors too, making it, because it's fans are always going to be there. If you're a fan now, you're likely to be a fan next year and the year after, etc. So don't take out a bad season. Take it out a bad season. Fran likes to say on him, take it out on him. Don't take it out on the kids. Try to make their final home game an enjoyable one. I think that's very perfectly well said. And before I get you out of here, brother, just let everybody know where they can find you out on your social media and your show.
Well, since we've been on this long, I'll see you in 2 hours on Wake Up Call. But no, I'll be. No, I love being on here with you, and I'd stay on here all night. I'd do a Jerry Lewis telethon as long as Shane will be here with me with a cardboard cutout of John Summerall behind him. So is Shane married?
He is, yeah.
Does his wife know that she's not loved as much as John Summerall in his home?
I don't know.
Or did I just released that publicly?
That might be first. She listens to the show, so I know he does too.
What's her first name?
I do not know.
You don't know? Okay.
No.
So it's Shane Barrett, right?
Yeah.
Mrs. Barrett. It goes God, John Summerall, I think food from Auburn, like barbecued food, and then it's you. And I don't think that that's right. And I think Shane owes you better. And I think that when you watch and listen to this, I think that you should pick the jewelry store of your choice, and I will help you virtually to find the right piece of jewelry to write your path with Shane, because he owes you one for being, when he goes to sleep at night and he says, I love you, babe, and you're already turned over, do you realize he's not turned towards you? He's turned toward his poster of John Summerall. So, anyways, so I love Shane. This is fun for me because he's going to get John Summerall and I'm going to be super happy for him. And then I'm going to cry some tears, but you can find us on Wake Up Call. The show is Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. Tomorrow morning, we have an OCC spotlight with their wrestling program, which is in its second year. And this kid just won one of the championship day things. So Charlie Foster is going to be with me, coming off of a huge win that he had so early on in this program. And then we're going to celebrate the Big 44 game, which honors Ernie Davis and Floyd Little with the Section 3 and Section 4 All-Stars. I'm going to be talking with the director, Paul Seeley, and fantasy football for Turkey Day, as well as all of Week 13 in the NFL. You can find us, like I said, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time worldwide, Facebook.com and YouTube.com, both / Wake Up Call DT. Internet streaming radio on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And if you forget all of that, there's 2 other places you could find me. It's all on wakeupcalldt.com. And I will also be at Shane's house removing his cardboard cutout of John Summerall tonight.
Shane is going to love this. Oh, man. I can't wait to show him. Dan, always a pleasure having you on, man. We could truly, one of these days we'll have to find a day where we just go on forever. But Dan, I appreciate you so much. We'll have to talk about that. Thank you so much for coming on, brother. I appreciate you taking the time out, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, and I actually will talk off the air. I want to pay it forward. I'd like for you and Shane to join me on an upcoming episode of Wake Up Call here. So I'll be texting you about that so we can set it up.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds perfect. I know Shane wants to do that too. So I'll keep him in the loop also. I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you.
Of course, man. Most important thing, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, brother. I'll shoot you a text that day too. I'll send a reminder.
All right, man. God bless.
You as well. That is Dan Totore, my good friend Dan Totore. You can call him see him at wakeupcalldt.com, or you can find him on Twitter /X at call DT, the letters DT, not DEETEE, letter D, letter T. You can find him Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Great guy. Syracuse football. Just the Syracuse environment in of itself make sure you guys following him if you're an upstate New York fan. And if you're a college football fan, it's just a sports fan, national media broadcaster for over 20 years, something to really respect. And I mean, he's a great guy, funny guy, one of the coolest people I've got to meet in the media community since I've started, and I've got about a decade worth of work. So I appreciate being able to meet him and all the kindness that he's not just shown me, but the people that he's met with me along the way. So a very fantastic person. I'm very looking forward to seeing him again. And this is Thomas Christopher of the League Winners episode of College Football Now. Until next time.